There was something that went on down south in the States, but moving on. Hello and welcome to The House That Happened, sponsored by Schuey's Bar and Grill, the only place to be in suburban Etobicoke. Voted 4 times the best dive bar in all the GTA. It's number 1 in our hearts, the Phoenix rising from the ashes. Hi, my name's Andrew Milani.
Hi, my name's Cruz.
How you doing, Cruz?
It's been a pretty eventful week, don't you think?
I think so.
Something like that anyway. I heard that you were alluding to the fact that something went on in America this week that changed the dichotomy of the country.
So they tell me.
When I got up on Wednesday morning, the sun was shining, the rain worked, the wind blew, the leaves fell on the ground. So what was different? Can you help me out?
Well, in January, that's when.
Okay, so anyways, we have to make a big shout out to the one and only Donald J. Trump, who won a resounding victory in the national election on Tuesday, which surprised a lot of pundits in America except for me.
Were you surprised he won the popular vote or no?
I told my wife when I get up in the morning, I said, I should have put it on tape, but I didn't want to do social media and get attacked. But I said to my wife, Trump will win this going away. And she said to me, how can you be so sure? I know you read a lot. I said, I've looked at everybody and seen what's going on here. And I said, the number one issue is not climate change, abortion, or all that other stuff. Everybody has to eat. If you're black, white, gay, green, girl, boy, what was the number one reason? Eating.
Yeah, the Biden economy wasn't good, and I think that hurt the Democrats, number one.
In any event, it's time for Canada to turn off America for a while and perhaps maybe pay attention what's going on domestically, don't you think?
Oh, you think?
And all the stuff that's going on in our country right now, and I hear nobody talking about it, and it's just as significant because that's our economy, that's our lifeline, that's what's going to change our lifestyle and our disposable income. So I'm asking all you viewers out there, or listeners out there, turn off America, come back home and start paying attention to what goes on in our country, whatever stripe you have or whatever opinion that you have. Let's do it civilly, unitedly, and figure out what we got to do in our own country.
Amen. I agree to that.
I just want to bring up something, and I want to shout out. First of all, it's Argos Day. We should say that immediately. We will get to that during the show. Big shout out to Nick Sanchi and his crew who are traveling to Montreal. They landed there already, and they're going to support it. I heard there's a big Schuey's contingent getting together to cheer. Go Argos. But I just wanted to bring something up that came up on our Sluggers chat last night. We're having a big party. We're having a little banquet tonight for all the team to get together. Mm-hmm. New players showing up, players that we're cutting. It's all going to go down. Should be interesting, okay? And there will be an alcohol involved, so I hope there's a mic in the ceiling that I can just record some of the conversations because it's going to get stupid. However, I put this up on the chat, something stupid that I said on the air a couple of weeks ago, where I tried to define the difference between a diva and a bitch. Well, anyways, they come up on there and people said, well, LeBron's a diva, Luka's a bitch, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let's get away from that. My son had an interesting observation, and he said, Dad, why don't we look at it what the leagues are? And I said, what do you mean? And he said, in my opinion, the NBA is the bitch, but the NFL is the slut. Is that not good?
Oh, that's pretty spot on.
Is it not? We don't have to say anything else. All you have to know the landscape of sporting in North America, and he called the NFL a slut. I couldn't agree more.
I would say, then would that make the NHL like the good girl, but she's really a freak? The
NHL is the NHL.
Yeah.
That's what he said. That's that. Like you said, the freak over there. But we can't define her because the NHL does what the NHL does. But I thought that was an interesting analogy. And if anybody out there that's listening want to chime in, let us know. The NBA is the bitch. The NFL is the slut.
Moving on, we just want to pay our respects to Peanut the Squirrel and Fred the Raccoon. It's an unfortunate story from Pine City, New York. Essentially, a couple took in a rescue squirrel and a rescue raccoon. We're trying to nurse them back to health. Long story short, people complained, and I guess the state took them away to test them for rabies, and unfortunately, they had to be euthanized. And the raccoon was pretty close to being able to go back out into the wild, so just an unfortunate story.
There's a difference between vermin and taking care of animals that are going to go back to the wild. So I just want to say one thing. To all the people that were nasty enough to agree with the euthanization of innocent animals, I got to question your integrity. Or your what is it? Your intestinal fortitude or your constitution. I mean, these people were doing a good thing.
They were. I understand there's some problems with, raising like animals like that. Like Radic was telling me that it's like worms and raccoons could be an issue, but I mean, still, let's have some empathy, people.
And not only that, they were getting ready to go back to nature. So if they had to have some kind of health involved, or they would have noticed that there was something wrong with the animals. But in any event, big shout out here from the house to the squirrel and the raccoon. And I hope people
Peanut and Fred.
And let's hope that people have more empathy in the future.
Always. Big shout out to Taylor Swift. Going to be playing her 6 shows starting Thursday, Friday, Saturday, in back-to-back weeks. And the city's already going wild, changing street names. I'm sure restaurants and hotels are excited for all the business that they're going to be getting. This is just insane.
You know what, though? The economic impact of the city is just great.
Huge.
Did you hear what McAfee said? They played half the time, or not even close to what they're playing in Toronto.
Yeah.
And they estimated $200 million came into the Indianapolis economy in those days. What we should shout out to is, I heard that the average person goes to 100 concerts in their life. Well, personally, I must have lived 10 lives by now. If we're going to count that.
I must have lived a tenth of a life.
Okay, then Serge must have lived 100 lives by now. But
especially the amount of times he's seen Pearl Jam.
Oh, or Soundgarden.
That's true.
Either one. But anyways, I just want to point out this. If a Taylor Swift song came on the radio right now, would you know it?
Yeah, I probably would.
You would?
Yeah.
See, that's my problem. If a Taylor Swift song came on the radio, I'd have no idea who she is. But I do want to say this. From all the reviews and from people are saying all around the world, let's have huge respect for Taylor Swift's work ethic and the performance that she puts on, because every time I hear it, it's a 4 or 5 star review, and you can't knock that when you're entertaining 60 to 80,000 people a night. I can't wait till she comes to Toronto and hear the reviews here. I hope everybody is well, what would you say? Well behaved?
I think so.
I
think everyone there is going to be in just a good mood.
Oh, it's the Swifties, man. Positivity all the time. And you can't underestimate the power of positivity.
Absolutely not.
So, Taylor, welcome to the city. We hope you have an amazing show, and I hope that the city shows out for you so you can tell the rest of the world what a world-class, great city we really are.
Absolutely. Shout out to the PWHL. They revealed all 6 jerseys for their clubs this week.
Come on.
Unfortunately, the Montreal ones, they continue to impress me. The Montreal Victoire, I love their logo. I love their jersey. I love their colors. Boston, I love as well. It's kind of like the Hartford Whalers on their side. And they did pretty well there too. Ottawa, I mean, it's just knockoff Calgary Flames. I do not like the Toronto ones.
Beer league uniforms.
Yeah,
Barely.
I hate to say it.
I really liked, I went back and reviewed them after you told me. I do really like the Montreal one. Because,
those are beautiful.
Because they got that hint of old school in them. Something about them looks old school.
I think it's because it's kind of like the darker kind of muted colors.
Is that
It gives it kind of like that, yeah.
Yeah, because it's got that old school feel to it, where some of the other ones, especially Toronto, look like somebody got in a room and threw stuff at a wall and said, what's going to stick?
Yeah, the colors that they used, I would love to get my sister's take on this, because she's a graphic designer and she has 100 notes about every sports uniform when I show her them. She's like, oh, that's ugly. I'm curious about her take about this one. Okay. So, Alexander, you're going to be, or I guess, Mitchell, you're listening. So tell Alexandra that she's going to have some, a little bit of homework coming up soon.
And Alexandra is such a cool name, eh? Did you tell your sister my middle name's Alexander?
I think I did.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But in any event, she's
Mitchell, I'm sure you're listening, tell Alexandra about that in case she forgot.
Yes, it's such a great name. But in any event, I always think it's marketing people that are separated from the sports crowd. Like, that's happening in a lot of sports. Like, the people that go into the room, they're great designers and they have good ideas, but they're not really fans or participants.
Yeah, they don't really understand the sports side of it.
Exactly. Obviously, in Montreal, they did, because to have that traditional-looking uniform, I thought was cool. But Toronto's, I went, what?
Well, usually it's the people, I don't know who's the outfitters for the PWHL. I can't remember off the top of my head. Usually it's those people, like if it's Adidas or whatever, they design it, and I think they kind of work in conjunction with the teams. So,
probably.
Yeah, so I don't know. The Toronto Scepters, I think that's a god-awful name as well, but moving on.
Well, that's just the way that they are. You know what I mean? Good luck.
Good luck.
To the league, and hope that they get half the ratings of the WNBA.
Sure. Well, I mean, it's going to be a slow startup, but
100%.
25 years, right?
Yes.
No, let's not rush a good thing. Shout out to the men's and women's tennis players, the ATP Tour Finals. Believe that already got ATP Tour Finals starts tomorrow. WTA Finals is on now, so that's the women's. Big shout out there. I know you have a thing to say about Coco Gauff competing.
Yeah, you know what? Coco Gauff is an amazing talent, okay? I just seen her lose to the Serbian player, and I'm not comfortable with the fact that since she's risen to some kind of prominence, she's always going to be in the shadow of Serena due to her African-American descendancy or whatever you want to call it. However, we've talked about this show numerous times. I wish the coaches were not involved in talking to the players anymore. And this girl seems to come unraveled when things don't go her way. Now, she was getting flustered, and she lost in 2 sets. And she was throwing her racket around and getting angry. And the bottom line is she had 40 unforced errors. 40.
Rough.
40 unforced errors. So you're going to tell me that you're going to say that there's 20 other different things that the reason you didn't win? I'm going to add up to 40 unforced errors.
Yeah.
And as a African Canadian, I want to tell all athletes, especially you, Coco Gauff, the race card is not something to use frivolously. You know what I'm saying? So get back on the court, clean up your act. You're a great player, and maybe you'll win some more.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good tournament. I think already Sabalenka's running towards the top, I believe. So it should be a good tournament. I've watched a bunch of it.
Absolutely. We will also shout out Humber Hawks. A bunch of shout outs here. So men's soccer nationals, they're playing for the gold medal today. It would be their 8th national title in the last 12 seasons.
Dynasty.
If you look through all the CCAA, which is the Canadian College Athletic Association, their history of all the sports, like this is probably the greatest dynasty in all sports that they've ever had.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
At least in team sports. Like Humber, like in basketball, they had a nice little run of 4 national titles in 5 years. Could have been 5 in a row if Mike Katz didn't go to coach Team Canada at the 94.
Agreed.
What was it called? The one that they had here in Toronto. What was that tournament?
The World.
Yeah, World Cup, I guess.
Yeah,
FIBA World Cup, yeah. But I mean, 4 and 5 years. 4 and 5 years. Who's going to complain about that? But best of luck today to our men's soccer team. Also, men's rugby are playing for their first gold medal in the province since 2014. Huge shout out to them. Men's volleyball, men's and women's volleyball are both off to 6-0 starts, and they've only dropped 1 set each so far. And then men's basketball is off to a 4-0 start, the defending provincial champions. Then women's basketball off to a 3-1 start. So just another average winter start for the Humber Hawks.
I just want to say congratulations to Humber for having such a dominance and an amazing program and all the good things that are going on in that college. And we'd be remiss if we don't remind people that we're actually very close to Humber.
Yes, sir.
We're in the same, what would you call it?
Basically same area code.
Same area code, definitely,
code,
but same postal code. So congratulations. As a matter of fact, my granddaughter is going to be going to college next year, and she's leaning towards Humber.
Hey, good for her.
Yes, I will tell her about the traditions. Congratulations to all the dedication, the commitment, and the competition of all you athletes at Humber. Very proud of you.
Go Humber Polytechnic Hawks and go Navy and Gold.
There you go.
Also, shout out to the clown show / fight that will be occurring on this coming Saturday between...
Fight? Is that a fight?
Is it a fight? Between Mike Tyson and, was it Jake Paul?
Whatever.
I always get those two brothers confused.
Whatever. I just know they're influencers, and I don't know what they influence, because if this guy didn't go in the ring, I wouldn't know who the hell he is.
Or it's Jake Paul, yeah.
Oh, Jake Paul. In any event, I commend these guys on just getting to the position where they're making money on whatever it is they're doing to make money.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But I'm really calling this a spectacle because it's ramped up to a point now where these guys are showing their training videos. Because Tyson looked pretty ferocious in some of these videos, knocking people down. But suddenly, what would you call him? A journeyman boxer, a not-so-great boxer, went and trained with Jake Paul, Shannon Briggs, do you know who he is? And said, he's ready to knock out Mike Tyson.
Of course he's going to say that. But the only thing that would concern me about Tyson is that, you'd think Paul's going to have, is going to have more active feet out there. He's younger, Tyson's obviously got the hands.
Oh, yeah, but you know what the great thing is, and I don't know how this is, and that's why it can't be sanctioned as any kind of serious fight, is you know that they're wearing extra padded gloves, and there's only 2-minute rounds. So this really is a exhibition, if you want to put it that way.
Oh, of course. Yeah, it is an exhibition.
An exhibition with violence? And what do the people
Exhibited
of the world...
violence.
Exhibited violence. And not only that, what do the people in this world, in our highly advanced technological environment we're living to? They resort to senseless violence.
Well, just look at all the buzz that your buddy the Empire State Building picked up with in New York last season.
Oh, we'll get to
Case in
hockey.
point.
Wait till I get to hockey. I'm going to be on that train real quick. I got my NHL network back. Oh, gee.
Boy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy.
You like burning away your brain cells.
Well, what I do, I can only watch it about 10 minutes at a time because I realize something's going wrong with my synapses, so I turn it off. I go, that's enough. Stop it. But in any event, the curious thing about it is I heard that the Netflix, once again, they know how to market and they know how to jump in at the right time. Because when's the last time a big fight's been on Netflix? Never.
Well, they're getting into live sports game, right?
That's the best reality TV shows in the world. But you know what I'm hoping? I'm just hoping Tyson knocks this guy into the next area code.
I think most people do.
Yeah, just because of the sheer arrogance and at times disrespect for the sport. You know, like you came out of nowhere. That's great. He's a big kid. He's moved. He's had really serious trainers. He's doing all the things you're supposed to, but...
Won a bunch of fights,
but he's definitely not Muhammad Ali. He's not Sugar Ray Leonard. He's not even frickin' Oscar De La Hoya. So, any event, if you want to spend your cash on a violent exhibition of nonsense... I got a box. It'll be free.
Well, yeah. Well, or if you have Netflix, which most people do.
With Netflix, you'll be on it for sure.
Last shout out to the first edition of the college football playoff rankings.
Before we go, when we're going to talk about the playoff rankings, we're going to get to that right now. If you love football, I want to give a big shout out to a guy named Michael Lombardi, who's about my age. He does come on the McAfee show once a week, and he has his own podcast. If you want to learn about things about the nuances of football that you don't always think about. This guy's like a grad education in the nuances of football. And not only that, he always owns anything that he's wrong about, and then he'll come back and tell you why it's wrong. How many people do that on the air today?
Not many.
Big shout out.
We try and do that here.
Yes, we do. We're not going to lie. I've owned a lot of things since we've been on this show.
I think we keep ourselves accountable, which helps.
Damn right it does. But big shout out to Michael Lombardi, and I hope all the people out there broadcasting have the same attitude.
Absolutely. So back to the rankings. I mean, no real surprise that Oregon's number one, considering their standing. 9-0 on the season in, were they Big Ten?
Yep.
Yeah. So there we go. Definitely
first year in the Big Ten.
First year in the Big Ten. So that definitely helps. Ohio State, Georgia, 2-3, both at 7-1. University of Miami, the U, 9-0, sitting at number 4. Could it be the big return of that program?
Oh, we're going to get into that in a second.
Anyone else on there that catches your eye?
Well, if you look at the top 10, if you follow that, then you get Texas, Penn State, Tennessee, Indiana, BYU, Notre Dame, Alabama, and Boise State.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about this realistically. This is an eye test thing. First of all, Indiana is 8-0 or 7-0. They've never been in that position in their life.
Never.
14-point favorite over my beloved Wolverines this afternoon, which has never been a line like that in my life.
And who is quarterback for Indiana Hoosiers?
Oh, what's his name? He's pretty good. In any event, get his...
Oh, he's Nathan Rourke's brother.
Yes, that's... Thank
you.
From
Oakville.
Exactly.
Holy Trinity High School, I believe. Shout out Matt Hamill, my broadcasting partner at Humber. That's where he went to high school and played on the football team there too, I think.
They actually, one of the guys was talking about how much Canadian talent seems to be seeping into the NFL, which is a good thing.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
Now, this is just the premier rankings, okay? And I've been following college football a long time, a little bit more this year. And I just think that what happens is sometimes these people get their rankings due to the situation of the college, like Ohio State,
sure,
Texas, and all them. So what I'm going to tell you is...
And Curtis Rourke is his name.
Oh, yeah, Curtis Rourke. You got it. Anyways, I'm going to say that when we get to, say, the final week of the season, because there's way too many big games left to go.
Oh, and especially once you get to, like, conference tournaments and all that.
Too many big games to go, which is going to trade ratings. For example, Texas A&M was a top 5 team. Then they get blown out by Louisville or South Carolina, and they drop like 8. But they're a big program that's going to be there. But I'm just going to say I think Texas might make the Final Four. I'm going to call that already.
So you think Well, although if you win, if you're a top 5 conference winner, you get automatic. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they go from there. It looks like the SEC and the Big Ten will get the most. But here's the interesting thing.
Well, no, it shouldn't be a surprise.
Here's the interesting thing about this, okay? With NIL and the portal and all the things that are going on, suddenly look down and you see SMU and Miami as dominant schools that haven't been on the face of college football for a long time. I'm of the belief that these guys are doing NIL and portal moves back in the 70s and 80s. Ask Michael Irwin what was going on down there. So any event, if you don't think that money has changed the landscape of college basketball, then you've
college football,
then you've got your head in the sand. Because I think that SMU and Miami are not only they're going to be in the playoffs, I'm thinking they're going to take a long way. And they're powerhouses that are going to come back because they were traditional football schools, and now they can use their money any way that they want.
Exactly.
You know, SMU got the worst band in the history of football, eh?
I wasn't aware.
Oh, they got sent to, if you could look up the history, SMU got sent to not purgatory, but complete hell, brimstone and fire. Trust me. Okay, let's put it this way. Eric Dickerson, who I think is the greatest running back of all time in the NFL, yes, I said it, his first day that he showed up for college, he had a brand new Trans Am with the wing on the front. Now, I know that's way before your time, but that was the car of the time.
I'm aware.
His mother bought it for him in Mexico. Okay. That's the word.
Sure.
So I'm really saying
Wink,
that those
wink.
schools are going to rise up. I think Oregon's going to be there at the end.
Of course.
I think Georgia's going to be there at the end. I think Ohio State's going to be there. The fourth team, I'm not really sure. But here is the real talked about thing in college football right now, and that's Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffalo situation.
They've already lost a couple games, though, so they got
a long way to go. But the fact is that the road in front of them can tell you that they still got an outside shot of doing this. No matter what you think about Deion Sanders, they're getting a lot of national press.
Of course.
And they've got a program that has never won more than 4 games in the last 20 years, and they've already, won 6-2 now?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they have arguably the number 1 prospect for the NFL draft.
Oh, yeah, damn right. Who's playing both ways? What's his name?
Travis Hunter.
Travis Hunter will be number 1 pick. But overshadowed in all this, and I've been hearing it everywhere, Shadur Sanders may be the best quarterback in the college ranks this year, and he will probably be the first quarterback to come off the board in the draft next year.
Interesting.
So I'm thinking if the Colorado gets the run, and you know how it's all about the eye test, if they're even close to making the playoffs,
They'll put them in, you think?
Or they'll get completely banished because of the reputation of Deion Sanders and how much the guy's hated.
I was going to say.
And why is Deion hated? He just said, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and he did it.
He's cocky.
It's not, sometimes people misconstrue arrogance with confidence. I just think Deion's confident.
No, you've called him arrogant on this show, though, before.
Okay, he's a little bit arrogant when he's on the football field, but as a coach, I think he settled it down a bit. But I'm just saying kudos to him for a program that hasn't done anything for 20 years.
Yeah.
They're nationally ranked, and they have an outside shot at the playoffs. So we'll keep a close eye on what's going on in the college football ranks.
Absolutely. We'll move this along to Formula One, where your boy, Max Verstappen, took the Brazilian Grand Prix for the second year in a row, this time in a wet one. He's now 62 points ahead of Lando, who finished 6th place in this one. And Lando second with 3 races left to go in a sprint. We got Vegas, Qatar, which will be the sprint, and Abu Dhabi left. All but secures 4th Drivers' Championship in a row for Max, putting him in the same class as Juan Manuel Fangio, Michael Schumacher, Sebastian Vettel, and Lewis Hamilton as the only ones to win 4 in a row. And the only other driver to win at least 4 drivers' titles is Alain Prost, so that's some pretty good company that he just put himself in, basically, although it's not official yet.
Okay, let's put this into perspective. He had a 5 grid.
5 place grid penalty because they replaced the engine.
Okay. The weather was insane. He started from 17th.
Yeah, because he got screwed in qualifying.
Yes. Okay, so add all this up, and the guy wins the race in inclement weather. Max Verstappen is the best driver in Formula One.
Hands down.
Ends of story. Let's quit talking about it. what really disappointed me in the race was your boys from Ferrari. I still believe they're going to win the Constructors.
I think so, too. I think Leclerc had a pretty good race, finished fifth. He's officially out of the Drivers' Championship. Yeah. Even if he's perfect and Max gets 0 points, he still loses the title on a tiebreaker because Max is going to have more wins.
Yeah, that's weird. And Carlos Sainz had a weird run. Which,
unfortunate.
You know what I mean? So, and the real surprise is the Alpine guys.
Yes. Oh, well, one more thing about Ferrari. So they are 36 points back in McLaren now for first in the Constructors, so very much in reach.
Well, the way McLaren's been operated with their pit stops and their strategic form, Zach Brown, get your shit together.
I wonder if they're going to still prioritize Lando, because like if I were them, I'd be like, Max is too far away. Let's just worry about Constructors at this point. I don't know if they see it like that, though.
I see it like that.
I know you do, because you have a good head on your shoulders, sir. Zach Brown, I kind of question.
He is too much,
and him and Andreas Seidel. And it kind of, I'm wondering who's got the keys to the car in that case.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I never thought about that.
Because Seidel's team principal, but you always see Zach Brown first, and he's CEO, right?
Okay, now I'll take it one step further. I've been trying to pump Zach Brown's tires on this show all year.
Good for you.
Okay, because he's that kind of character. Like, he's like the anti-hero in the movie. Is that what you would call him? But lately, some of the statements that he has made to try to fluff over the mistakes the team made strategically. Zach, it's hard to listen to you. I think he's already lost the Constructors. Let's go back 10 races and add up all the stupid things that McLaren has done in the last 10 races. What is that, about 40, 50 points in there?
Not nothing, I'll tell you that much.
Agreed. So that's why I think that, and especially in the next couple races, which Ferrari are known to do better with, especially when they go to the Middle East, I'm still betting on Ferrari to win the Constructors.
Yeah. You know? And but by the way, before I forget, I learned recently that Martin Brundle is banned from China.
What?
Because on the call a couple years ago, he referred to Zhou Guanyu as a Chinaman.
Oh, my God. In this day and age, they said that on Bonanza.
I'm sure they did.
Okay, but Bonanza was popular in 1967.
I know.
Okay, so wait a second here, buddy. Like, I'm not saying you have to be totally PC, but come on.
I know. It's absurd. Like,
come on, buddy. Really? You know, remember way back in the day on this show, I kind of let slip out a couple of things that you shouldn't say anymore, and I've corrected myself immediately because I do not want to offend.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? But anyways, I'm going to go with Ferrari to win it all. Max, you are a star. My favorite thing is when Max jumps out of the car after the win, whips his dick on the hood of the car and says, F you to everybody, and then when do I get my Bond edition?
Yeah, exactly. Although he's racing for the wrong team. For that.
Point well taken. Yeah. Point well taken.
Rumors are he might be going to Aston Martin, although I don't completely buy that. But to your point before, Ocon and Gasly second and third for a surprise double podium. Fourth team to secure a double podium this year. Then they do it before Mercedes and Aston Martin this year, which is crazy considering where they are in the Constructors' Championship.
I was shocked at the amount of money that's now pouring into that team just on this double podium move.
Well, because they jumped from, ninth to sixth because of that. Now, all of a sudden, it's a battle for sixth between them, Haas, and Red Bull Jr. there, all within 5 points, which is going to be a crazy last 3 races of the season.
Big shout-out to Alpine. I wasn't even seeing
Alpine,
that. Alpine, I wasn't really seeing them on my horizon, even though I like their drivers.
I like one of their drivers.
Which one?
Gasly.
Oh, yeah, I like Gasly, too. That's the guy.
Ocon's a little bit of a shit, but
he'll learn to get better. But anyway,
I respect that he comes from humble roots, but that's about it.
We were talking about that, weren't we, about how many drivers that as soon as they are born are on their way to F1 as opposed to the people that are born and got to work their way there.
Well, it seemed like Lance, the second he was born.
Yeah, we know Lance. How's the mud, buddy?
How's the mud? I still can't believe that he got stuck in the mud with the escape road right there.
Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. You know me and my PVR and rewind. I rewounded that about 6 times just to say, what did you do? Now that the track was a little slippery, and there was.
But you were on pavement, and you went on the It boggles the mind. It makes absolutely fucking no sense. The escape road was right there. All you had to do was make a right, go around. You're back on the track.
Away you go.
You might not make it back with the rest of the guys on that formation lap to get back to your grid position, but at least you'll start the race.
Well, I heard this because I've been learning a lot about tire management in the as the races go on, like before the pre-races, they're always talking about the strategy of tires. And then there was a whisper about the tires on Stahl's car. Shut up.
Stroll.
Shut
Everyone
up.
was on the same tire.
That's what I said. I go, wait a second.
Nonsense.
Did you just say that? So I was, you must have heard that on the broadcast.
Yeah.
He said something about his tires. I'm going, it's raining. Everybody's got the same tire, and I don't see anybody else in the mud. Just saying.
And the Brazilian crowd was chanting Drogovic, who is, of course, the reserve driver for Aston Martin. He's Brazilian. So, of course, and he won F2 a few years ago, so he probably is a deserving driver.
The guy, did you hear that Brazilian crowd? What an atmosphere. You know what I mean?
I would love to go to that race, but I'm scared to go to Brazil. So.
I've been to Brazil.
I know you have.
Yeah. I heard it's more dangerous than it is now. than it was then.
Okay.
But, I mean, it's a beautiful place to be, but as soon as it goes dark, get off the street.
Go back to your hotel room.
Go back to your hotel room, exactly.
And speaking of Brazilian drivers, Gabriel Bortoleto secures the final seat next year at Sauber for 2025, essentially completing the grid. There's still a little bit of questions about how Red Bull's going to manage their seats, but he won F3 last year, Bortoleto, and is currently first place in F2 by 4.5 points with 2 races left to go, but he's guaranteed a super license, so he's earned his seat.
We talked about this in pre-production, and I'm absolutely fascinated by how young these guys are that are jumping into these machines. Now, my best friend...
It's been trending that way for a while.
Yeah, my buddy says to me, first of all, if you jump into an F1 car, your balls got to be made of brass to start. So let's just cut to the chase on that. But to have these young guys in there, I have a new theory since we had a production meeting, and I'm saying the younger you are, the more fearless you are. I wonder if that plays into your driving, because as they get older, they start thinking about business decisions and shit like that. But
unless you're Magnussen.
Yeah, okay, there you go. No, that's not a diss at the guy, is it?
I mean, he's losing his seat and for good reason.
There you go. But in any event, I'm fascinated by the fact that sometimes it's almost like putting these young men, here you go, buddy, let's see what you got. And that fearlessness has a lot to do with winning in F1, in my opinion, because the most fearless driver on the track right now is my boy, Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
He's only 27, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
He's got a way to go.
He's my brother's age.
Yeah, cool.
Absolutely. We will take this to the world of the Toronto Argos.
Argos, baby! Here we go.
They came out with a home playoff win last Saturday, 58-38, the Eastern semifinals over the Ottawa Red Blacks. Chad Kelly was phenomenal, 18 of 20 passing, 358 passing yards for 4 passing touchdowns, 29 yards on the ground for 1 touchdown. Incredible day in the Argos with 2 pick sixes on back-to-back defensive drives late in the fourth quarter to secure that win.
I'm just a little worried about the back end of the Toronto defense again.
Well, yeah, you allowed 38 points to Ottawa, who's not exactly a world beater on offense.
Exactly. So I'm just saying, you know what? Go in there with the bend and break attitude in Montreal today.
Bend but don't break, yeah.
Yeah, bend but don't break. Because you got nothing to lose, and Chad Kelly is easily looking like the best quarterback in the CFL since he's come back. He's had a couple games to adjust, but he looks...
Oh, he's back in form.
He's back in form. Good luck to the Argos today. I will be watching. Everybody, it's on at 3 o'clock. And once again, Mr. Nick Sanchi, I know you will be taking a listen. Have a good time, you and your crew up in Montreal. Say hello to the Habs.
Also in the CFL last week, Saskatchewan beat BC 18-19 in the Western semis, setting up the Western Finals today. Saskatchewan at Winnipeg. That will be on at 6:30, basically right after the Argos game. And then the Grey Cup, Sunday, November 17th at 6 p.m., in Vancouver. So hopefully our team in double blue is going to be competing in that one, although it's going to be a tough test ahead for them today in Montreal.
Oh, I agree. And not only that, a little footnote to the season. I can't believe that the BC Lions limped out of the season the way that they did.
Quarterback controversy.
Whatever the case may be, something like we were talking about this back in June, they looked like world beaters and Rourke wasn't even on the team yet.
Yep.
And then they took a left turn, and now they're gone home. Not that Saskatchewan is a bad team, but look at the look at the score of that game.
It was within reach.
Yeah, there you go, and they didn't do it. And I think that Winnipeg's just sitting at home, coming in with their fork and knife in their hand, saying, "When's the Grey Cup?" We'll see today.
We'll move this over to MLB, just a little bit of off-season news. So first of all, congratulations to our Toronto Blue Jays for winning the Team Gold Glove. Kind of seems like a little bit of a joke considering how that we basically traded all of our offense to get better defensively, but
That's just a freaking... That's like a participation trophy. That's how I feel about that. We had defense. Shut up. That's all I got to say. But anyways, putting that into perspective, is there anything else you want to say about baseball?
No, let's just get into winter meetings.
Okay, the winter meetings are coming. Now, all of a sudden, if you watch on MLB Network and people are talking, the Blue Jays are very active. They're extremely
I've heard this one before.
So let's talk about it from my point of view. First of all, I don't care what you say. Bid $1 more for Soto to see what happens. There's only 3 teams in competition for him.
I've heard 6.
Is it 6
I've
now?
heard the Mets, the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Giants, the Red Sox, and the Jays.
I heard the Red Sox are bowing out because the money's too big.
What's with that? Like,
I don't
Fenway
know.
Sports is getting cheap all of a sudden.
Well, because they got involved in European soccer. Premier League soccer.
And what, they bought the Penguins, so now they're like, oh, we can't spend too much on the Red Sox?
I don't know what it is, but it's
bizarre. It's bizarre.
It must be an embarrassment for the city.
I agree, considering how the last 15 years before that was.
Oh, unbelievable. So if we're going to go into this winter meeting, let's talk about things seriously. And last year, the Yankees missed the playoffs, and this year they made it to the World Series. What is the path for the Blue Jays to do it? Well, let's start with this. We already got great starting pitching, but Corbin Burns is out there, Blake Snell, and Max Fried. Take a shot at one of these guys. I'm more taking a shot at Corbin Burns the most because I'm a little bit skeptical about the injury history of Snell and Fried.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So if you give them like 5 years or 7 years, and the last 2 years their arms fall off, I'd be nervous.
Yeah, well, I'd be worried about giving any starting pitcher 7 years.
I think but they're all asking for 5. Because I think that's...
5's a little bit more reasonable.
Of course, because they had to slap Burrows and say, pitchers ain't getting 7. We don't even know if they can pitch 200 innings. You're going to give them 7 years? That's kind of nuts. My other thing is there's a bunch of veterans out there like Pete Alonso and Alex Bregman.
I do not want Alonso. I think that'd be a mistake.
I think Bregman would be a mistake too.
I agree.
Alonso I could see for if you give him 2 years and big money, because the short porch is that he'd be a dome hitter.
Yeah, but the dome's becoming more of a pitcher's park, though.
Yes and no, only because of the one high wall. But I'm still saying you can jack it out of the dome. But the reason I'm saying Alonso and Bregman are off the board is because we still got the George Springer contract.
Yeah.
So we want to.
We got like how much is left on that? 2 years.
2 years left on that, so we don't want to go. So let's just get serious. The number one guy I have targeted for the Toronto Blue Jays is a guy named Willie Adams, who is a shortstop for the Milwaukee Brewers.
So are we going to move him to second base
Or third.
Okay.
He's already asked. He said, I will move to third, and he's looking for the biggest paycheck. There is a guy that I will go after. He's only 29 years old. He's pretty good defensively. Yeah. I don't know if he's ever going to win a Gold Glove. But his offense at the Dome, he's played in that place in Milwaukee. That's a pitcher's park.
Yep.
Now he's going to come to the Dome, which we can argue whether or not it's a pitcher's or hitter's park. But I think his numbers would be compatible. And if Bichette stumbles, he can move over to shortstop. You know what I mean?
Sure.
One of the good things I did hear is glad that Bichette's name is completely out of the conversation of any trade. Shapiro and Atkins.
I don't think it would make sense to trade him at this time anyways, because his value is not very high.
No, I agree. So,
selling low would be a mistake.
Exactly. So I'm on my 2 big acquisitions, and if they come through, I'll feel like I've won the lottery, is they should also go after Tanner Scott. Overpay the guy. He's a left-handed reliever. He was lost in the Marlins, still getting good numbers. Now, he kind of probably overplayed in San Diego, but he was solid in the playoffs. Do we need a left-handed relief pitcher of his stature?
Yes.
Then that's what we should go and do. So all these other names are great. Go after a starter, but Willie Adams and Tanner Scott should be the number one priorities for the Toronto Blue Jays because it looks like they're looking for the biggest paycheck, and the Jays have the money. But I'm going to end it like this. Bring Teoscar home.
Ooh, I would love that.
He's
Stick
looking
him as a
over this
DH?
way, whatever he wants to do. And he can play left field once in a while. The guy can throw.
He can.
It's his
his
step.
tracking is not that great.
And
which is why I'd be worried to stick him in left field. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, left fielder, you need someone that's a pretty competent defender.
Well, then I put him in right field, which is just
you're going to move Springer to left?
Well, I think that who's got the better arm?
Probably Teoscar.
Okay, so I'm going to look at it that way.
I'm just saying neither of those are really an ideal situation for me. But
Well, anyways, I'm talking out my ass.
I would say Teoscar at DH. I think that's probably the best
that
situation.
would be great. I wouldn't have a problem with that, and we know we could put him in there defensively when we need him, or we could take the chance with him defensively. Now, I know I'm talking out of my ass. This is probably not going to happen. But those are simple moves that the Jays can make that suddenly put them into contention to at least make the playoffs. I'm not saying going straight to the World Series, but imagine if we added a Willie Adams, we added a Tanner Scott, we added a bat like Teoscar, and the young kids improve 3%. I'm not asking for 5% anymore. I'm asking for 3%.
How'd that go last year?
Not very good. Defense, remember, bro? Defense. So how did that work out? In any event, the winter readers are coming up. We'll have all winter to discuss this. Let's just keep our fingers crossed.
We will indeed keep our fingers crossed as we'll move this along to our European soccer report. So I believe I forgot to mention that Rodri, the midfielder, won the Ballon d'Or this year. So congratulations to him.
100%.
I'm not going to talk. Absolutely. The biggest in soccer, actually. No, I'm going to keep it pretty short with the actual leagues themselves this week. It's going to be more about Champions League, but there are some games I want to touch on. Manchester City lost at AFC Bournemouth 2-1 last week, and that was a bit of a shock.
Big shock.
Chelsea getting a draw 1-1 at Manchester United. The way Manchester's going, not huge, but you'll take the point on the road.
I think they're going to dissemble. Aren't they? Fire the coach and rebuild? Isn't that coming a Man U?
I believe so.
I could smell it, and I'm not even a soccer guy.
Aston Villa fell 4-1 at Tottenham. If you take a look at the table for the Premier League, Liverpool still sitting in first place, 8-1-1, followed by Manchester City, 2 points behind. Nottingham Forest keeping up with the big boys at 19 points. They are 6 points behind the lead. Chelsea in the final Champions League spot with 18 points. And then 1 point, or tied with them, but I guess behind on tiebreaker is Arsenal, who is in a Europa League spot right now.
Good for them. I like the Gunners.
That's too bad for you, I guess, since they haven't won. They haven't won Premier League in 20 years.
20 years, isn't it?
They've won some FA Cups, they've won some hardware, but never Premier League, and they never go deep in Champions League.
They always seem like the team everyone wants to hate at times.
Because they're easy punching bag.
Yeah.
Moving it to Serie A, Atalanta won at league leader Napoli 3-0 last week. A huge victory for them.
That caught my eye.
As it should.
You told me I looked and said, hey, isn't that the team you were talking about? And they won?
Yeah, well, wow. Atalanta, they don't forget they won Europa League last year, so they're starting to look up, and they're doing decent in Champions League, I believe, too.
Yes, they are.
But if you look at the table for Serie A, Napoli still sitting in first place. That was their second loss. They're at 25 points. A point behind them is Inter. 2 points behind Inter is Atalanta. Fiorentina is tied with them for the final Champions League spot. And currently Lazio is hanging on to a Europa League position in fifth place, still with 22 points. And Juventus is in a Europa League qualifying position, sixth place with 21 points. And then AC Milan, my squad, is 4 points behind them.
Oh, boo. Can I ask a question? Because I think you're going to move on to this league right now. Is Barcelona the best team in the Champions League right now?
Well, I'll talk about Champions League a little later. I want to talk about La Liga a little bit. I don't think there was any
nothing spectacular.
No, there weren't any matches I want to talk about, but Barcelona's sitting in first place.
Yeah.
Then Real Madrid, Atletico, Villarreal, they're in the Champions League spots. Osasuna is in a Europa League spot, and Athletic in a Europa League qualification spot.
Cool.
For Bundesliga, the only real big match was RB Leipzig lost to Borussia Dortmund 2-1. That takes them away from the tie for first place, so they're now in second place. 6 points behind. Well, I guess Bayern's already played today, but they're now first place with 26 points. Have not dropped a game yet in that league. Then Leipzig, RB Leipzig, second place, 20 points. Then Eintracht Frankfurt, Bayer Leverkusen in fourth. Those are the Champions League spots. Then SC Freiburg and Union Berlin in line to go to the Europa League.
I like the fact that these cities are so close in location so that the fans travel. So it makes for, like, you see some of the games, like I'm watching, there's one of the shows on the box, you can see it's a soccer report. And sometimes when you don't realize, oh no, those are the out-of-town fans. Because it gets pretty crazy.
Sure.
You know, the cult of soccer in Europe is unbelievable.
Yeah. Moving on to Ligue 1 in France, Jonathan David scored the opening goal in Lille in a 1-1 draw versus Lyon. Moving over to the table of that league. PSG is still sitting in first spot with 26 points, followed by Marseille and Monaco, each with 20 points. Those are the Champions League spots. Lille in the Europa League spot, fourth place, 18 points. Then Nice is one spot behind them.
How come you don't like PSG?
Because they're not any good.
Okay.
They're always like, we're gonna do it this year, and they just they never go past the quarterfinals of Champions League.
But they got money.
They got money. They just don't know how to spend it.
They got big money. That's what surprises me.
Yeah, but the real big one I want to get to this week is Champions League. We're now halfway through the league phase. Milan stuns Real Madrid at Real Madrid 3-1.
Yes.
Madrid had a ton of chances, ton of possession, but Milan held solid defensively. And they just made better of their opportunities, had some better scoring chances, and it was a big win for them.
One of the saves was a play of the week.
Yeah.
One of the saves in that game by not Real. What's the team that won? I forget.
Milan.
That goaltender made one of the saves was on plays of the week.
Yeah.
Which I always find if a European soccer situation ends up on plays of the week, it's
Magnan, the black guy? Yeah, he's very good.
He made a great save. He let in one that was kind of a beach ball, but that doesn't matter. That happens to every goalie. But
yeah. No, and then Christian Pulisic, the American's really starting to come into his own, had a big assist off a corner kick. Tied to a couple of goals he's already got in Champions League. Juventus got a 1-1 draw at Lille. Jonathan David, our boy, scoring the opener in that one. Liverpool blew out Bayer Leverkusen 4-0. Luis Diaz with a hat trick in that one. I believe that was the only hat trick this week.
Wow.
Man City fell at Sporting CP 4-1. So a bad week for your boys in light blue.
Yes, and don't say light blue. But anyways.
That's what they wear.
You know what I do?
Sky blue, does that make you feel better?
Eggshell blue? How's that? Whatever.
It's more of a sky blue.
Okay, sky blue. In any event, you know me now. When I'm looking at the scores, I always look first for what's Man City doing. Ooh, they had a rough week, didn't they? Well, I still think they're going to be fine.
I think so too.
I
mean,
the
way they've been going, the way Liverpool's been going in England, it's kind of making you rethink things, right?
Liverpool, yeah. Liverpool, they got a lot of people's attention.
They definitely have.
Good team.
Atletico Madrid won 2-1 at PSG, and you wonder why I have no respect for PSG. Barcelona dominated Cervena Zvezda 5-2. I hope I pronounced that right. On the road. Inter won 1-0 versus Arsenal. Bayern Munich beat Benfica 1-0. Then if you look at the table, teams. Liverpool, the only perfect team, 4-0. So they are on top of Champions League and on top of the Premier League. We might have some buzz about the quad like we had for them a couple years ago. Although I believe they only won 2 of them at the end of the day, but we'll see. Sporting CP, Monaco, Brest, Inter Milan, 2 points back. And then Barcelona, Borussia Dortmund, and Aston Villa are the teams in line now to get that bye to the round of 16. And other than that, it's a big cluster F you-know-what right now.
Yep.
The projections are saying that 16 points will get you automatically to the round of 16, so Liverpool just 4 points away from that, and 10 points should be enough to get you into the play-in.
Oh, that's cool. That's why I'm asking you, is Barcelona the best team in the Champions League right now?
I think they're looking good. My buyout for my bet about them winning Champions League keeps getting higher by the week, so I'm feeling pretty good about that.
Let's keep a monitor on that.
Absolutely.
I want to know when you're going to bail out.
If they make it to the Final Four, that's when I'll consider it.
Well, yeah, but then you got to look at their performance.
Well, and look at their performance and like who they play. I get that. Yep. I'll consider it.
Good luck.
Yep.
Good luck.
And then we have an international break coming up November 13th to 21st. And I believe we had one more international break before the end of the year. Lots going on in the world of international football.
Okay, before we leave the soccer thing, I just want to say one thing about the MLS. I hate Miami's uniforms. I just hate them. Okay, continue.
Okay, we'll move this along to the NBA, where the Toronto Raptors retired Vince Carter's jersey on Saturday. I love the banner, by the way. It matches nicely with the Leaf ones up there. I love the consistency with that.
Yep. Someone was smart in marketing there.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I mean, they know what they're doing at MLSE. Their jerseys are usually pretty spot on, minus a couple, but we won't get into that. I got to call out our boy Drake for his stupid fucking comments about giving DeRozan a banner, saying that he would get up there and tear it down himself, all because of a fucking rap beef. Like, Drake, you're the global ambassador to the Raptors, not to yourself.
Up.
Get your head out of your ass and shut the front door.
Yes, exactly. I was shocked when I heard that. I think DeRozan jumped on.
And they didn't even ask him. Like, he just, like, jumped to that on his own. Like, you fucking idiot. Shut up.
Did you hear what DeRozan said?
No.
You got a long way to climb, buddy, if you're going to get that down.
I love it. All because DeRozan went on stage with Kendrick Lamar, which he's from LA. Of course, like, they're LA
from
guys.
the same neighborhood. Come on,
I know, it's
stop
ridiculous.
it. In any event, one of the arguments that came up, I've seen a lot during the last week or not, was the question of whether Vince Carter should have been the first number retired for the Raptors.
Yeah.
That's a big debate in the city.
I know I've given my side. I've kind of, like, conceded, whatever. I mean, whatever. It's a losing battle at this point, right?
Of course it is.
Yeah.
It's over. But I do have to admit that the attention brought to the country and the city and the grassroots things that he has done has probably led to more for that number being raised than his 5 years in Toronto.
Yeah, because I mean, like, not to bring this up and be a douchebag again, but his biggest achievement here was winning a slam dunk contest.
Point well taken. You know what I mean? But congratulations, Vince. You're doing pretty good on the broadcast, too.
Yes, he is.
And it was nice to see a lot of the old Raptors in the building to back him up.
Yeah.
Good community feeling.
Yeah. And the Raptors got the win that night, too, against Sacramento.
Their
in
only
overtime.
second win of the season.
Well, yeah, but who's counting? I'm going to take a look at the NBA standings right now. Because
I've got some NBA notes here that I just wanted to bring up. Because
one thing I want to ask you is, if I were to ask you at the beginning of the season that the only two teams in the East below Toronto would be Milwaukee and Philly, what would your reaction be?
I would say that, give me some. Is it indica? That's what I'd be asking right now. I think the Milwaukee Bucks are a complete freaking dumpster fire.
Already talking rebuild.
Not only that, did you hear Giannis after the game last night?
No, I missed that.
Oh, you know what I mean? And this is the end of the road for Doc Rivers.
I mean, I could have told them not to hire Doc, but...
Well, in any event, and look what...
Maybe I should be hired as team's global ambassador. Milwaukee, hire me. I'll work for anyone. Just pay me.
Okay, so let's take a look at the situation here. Giannis, who's becoming known as the coach killer, Budenhouse, went to Phoenix. Oh, what's going on in Phoenix?
They are first in the West right now with an 8-1 record.
Unbelievable. I did not think they had enough to do that, especially on the defensive end. But Budenholzer, have you seen Budenholzer last night? He's got them being...
he's a good coach.
Damn good coach, and he's got them all buying into his defensive...
system.
Yeah, and 8-1, you can't argue about that. And they've played all the big dogs in the West so far, but the West is so deep, it is unbelievable.
Yeah, that's been the story of the NBA for the last 20 years, hasn't it been?
But the thing is nobody has played more than 10 games, so we could be talking out of our ass. But I do want
still.
Yeah, but I want to take credit to the.
It's more the teams like falling behind where.
Yes, but
like New Orleans is already in a bit of trouble, I would say.
Injuries, the two teams, and
their
injuries are killing them. And Memphis hasn't even played their full roster of players yet, and they're hanging in there.
Memphis they're 6-4, so they're okay.
They're okay, but they have not. Their starting five has not seen the court at the same time once this year.
And keeping up like that's still pretty impressive.
Damn right it is. And not only that, our boy Edie, the Canadian Edie, he is looking great with those Ja Morant alley-oops. They're looking good. And I think they're one of the most fun teams in the league, which makes the league interesting because the two teams they're talking about in the league right now, which caught me off guard, is they're saying that when you play these two teams, do not sleep on them. The Brooklyn Nets and the Toronto Raptors. Like, I mean, they're not going to make it as scrappy as hell. You know what I mean? They look at last night. They Celtics only beat them by 4.
Well, what about your Detroit Pistons suddenly pulling their heads up?
Oh, that's not a bad thing. But I don't think they have a depth. They don't have.
I mean, the East is pretty dog shit right now. I mean, the big surprise for me is Orlando's kind of fallen back a little bit recently.
Yes, because we gave them some love, and something's not going on there. But let's
mind you, like the East, that's like a big clusterfuck from like the Knicks are 4-4 in third place, and then you got like them to like the Bulls who are like 3-6 in 11th. So it's only like a game and a half separating those teams.
Do you think there's some chemistry problems going on with some of the new players coming to the new teams? Like, I think that, I didn't think about it at the time, but now that I've seen him playing for Memphis, DiVincenzo was more important to the Nets than I realized. You know, especially from his shooting and his defense point of view. And Cat's scoring big points for the Knicks, but the defensive team that they're supposed to be is not showing up on the court.
Especially with that coach.
Exactly. And not only that, then let's look to the team that made the trade with Minnesota. I think in the long run, I've always liked Julius Randle, but he's playing a lot of iso ball.
Well, I gave you my take on him, that they're going to try and use him as a trade chip for Giannis.
Oh, there's many places that they can say that Giannis is going to go to, but we're going to have to figure
But they have some pieces, though, already.
Yes, they do.
Them in Oklahoma City, just because of like what they can give back to Milwaukee, are the most likely scenarios, if you ask me.
So if you want to say about that.
Maybe throw Sacramento in there, too.
Possibly. Sacramento's another funny team. I can't figure them out. They're very competitive, but they always seem to can't figure a way to finish it, which just tells me the top teams in the league right now as we speak are OKC. And I'm very, very happy because I pumped their tires so hard, and that's a 10-0 Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yes.
They have come through, makes me look like a star in this thing. But I'm not going to get away from the fact that they've only played 10 games, and I'm not counting the Celtics out on a repeat.
No, you'd be silly to at this
That's
point.
just great. So I'm going to still, even though I hate that team with a passion, I'm going to have to acquiesce to the fact that they are one of the better teams in the NBA. And like we have mentioned before, when you got two superstars with chips on their shoulder, we got a motivated team.
Yep.
Now, because they only played 10 games, there's not, like, we can just talk about whatever. 10-0 is great. 1-7 is not. That's why Philadelphia is in big trouble. But there's two things.
And with their stars all hurt, too.
Yes. Now, they're going to have trouble getting to the play-in if they don't get back too soon. But as we were talking about at the end of the beginning of the show, we were labeling the NBA as what? The B word?
Bitches.
Okay, so let's just talk about
the National Bitch Association.
Let's use that. Okay, so let's just talk about two things that came up this week that were aside from sports that I thought were pretty interesting. One of them, backing my theory, is that the ratings are down in the NBA. Shaquille O'Neal come out and said, that's because everybody's playing the same. If you're going to throw up threes all day, he goes, it looks good. And he put forth my theory. Steph Curry has ruined basketball, even though he's one of the greatest basketball players of all time. If you do not believe that on the first night of the season,
even though it wasn't really Steph Curry, like he's just out there playing his best game. Yeah,
you got to give him credit. And
it's the rest of the teams that are playing copycat. They're really the ones to blame.
They're not good enough to do it, so it affects the product. Now, Golden State is one of the surprise teams of the league.
Absolutely. So yeah, Cleveland, Phoenix, OKC, Boston, Golden State have been the standouts early on.
100%. So I'm going to go down this road with Shaquille O'Neal because I seen it when. What happened when Boston lost to Golden State in Boston? That just became a three-point shooting contest. Yep. And where was the game? Where was the defense? Where were they going? Everybody was just firing the ball away, which if they go in, it looks great. If it doesn't, it looks ugly. It takes away from the quality of the game and the basic principles of trying to win, getting in the paint, mid-range jumpers and all that. So I'm agreeing with Shaq. Slow down on the threes and give us some real basketball at times.
I agree. No, 100%. It's ugly if the guys don't make it.
Exactly.
And my pet peeve, guys jacking it up early in the shot clock.
That's the house that happens says if you jack up a three and it's not in the flow of the game and there's more than 18 seconds left in the shot clock.
I'll say more than 16 even.
Okay, 16. Put you to the bench. Put your ass on the end of the bench. A guy fires up three in a row, trying to do it in transition, not in the flow of the game, and they're clanging them off. That's why Boston lost. They said, we're going to outshoot these guys, and it wasn't their night. And they could have gone on decide to do something different, but we'll monitor that.
Well, Boston's one of those teams. It's like, if it's not our night tonight, the next four it will be.
Exactly.
Which is how they won the championship.
I was just going to say, they're defending champion, so it's hard to get away from that. But since the only other thing I want to say is, considering we called it the National Bitches Association. Did you hear the pissing match going on between Stephen A. Smith and Kevin Durant?
Oh, no, I did not.
Oh, it's just gotten to a point now where you're going, girls, is it that time? Stop it. Neither one of you have the curse, so just shut up. I don't know who's worse now. I think that Durant, who is an ultra-sensitive guy, and we know about his
we
murder
found that out
account.
ever since he went to Golden State.
Okay, we've got all that going down. But he does have a point where you're a guy like Stephen A. Smith, and you can get up there and say whatever you want. Sometimes guys got to defend himself, and I think Stephen A. Smith, who is apparently going not on First Take, but on his show, said he's going to deal with it there. Because Stephen A. Smith does not like to be called a clown. When I see Stephen A. Smith on the Sometimes and I look at him, he looks like a character on South Park. Look at that face. He should be right on South Park. So to me, he does.
With some of those takes, too.
And then there's some clownish things that have gone on in his delivery right now and embarrassing himself nationally with his new political stance in the country.
Oh, God.
Shut up.
That came across my feed.
Is that not ridiculous?
Oh, him talking about running for president?
Oh, the whole 9 yards and how he changed the Democratic Party, and you don't know as much about football as me.
Yeah, sure, buddy.
Go back to your day job.
Yeah.
He can be entertaining, and he is very good basketball analyst stuff.
Sure.
But we don't watch this to see two bitches freaking throwing shit at each other. We're here to see the outcomes of the game and the quality of the product and the highest level of competition.
Absolutely.
So shut up, guys.
Also, shout out to a couple milestones that happened this week. So in that Raptors Sacramento Kings game, Domantas Sabonis passed Larry Bird for the 10th most all-time on the triple-double list with 66. And
Underrated guy, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Underrated.
It's because he plays in Sacramento.
Exactly.
And LeBron became the 6th NBA player to hit 1,500 regular season games behind Robert Parrish, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Vince Carter, Dirk Nowitzki, and John Stockton. So by the end of the season, he's probably going to be third on that all-time list.
Yep. And LeBron is not, his play is not, okay, he only had a 10-point night against the Raptors, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. But in any event, LeBron's play has not fallen off that much. No. But what has happened, they have definitely given AD the reins, leading the league in scoring and probably the best offensive player in the league as we speak.
Yep. Well, that was always the plan there. And LeBron, by next season, could be the all-time games played leader for the NBA. So huge props to LeBron. Mr. James.
You got it.
Anything else for the NBA?
Just one other thing. I've seen an interesting factor that we have a 7'9" Canadian kid who's a freshman at Kansas. 7'9", bro. Can I say that again?
Please do.
7'9".
I like the sound of that. How's his footwork?
I was just gonna say he's not Michael Jackson. Okay, he's not Michael.
It's okay. That's why you go to college, to work on those tools.
The fact that he went to Kansas and Bill, what's his name, is his coach, who's always done good with big men, could be an advantage. But he's got to stay in college for about 3 years.
That's fine by me.
That's what I'm saying. I hope they get them there because this whole portal, NIL money, and getting to the top has changed the game. But you got to go to the NBA prepared, or you end up on a pile of heap. You know what I'm saying? So good luck. I wish I had his name written down, but I had in another book. I do believe he's from BC, or is he from Richmond Hill? I can't remember. Some hill place in Canada. That's all I know.
And I'm thankful that the Raptors have our first-round pick this year. I'll leave it at that. And there's a player in college basketball who plays for Rutgers whose name is Ace Bailey, which I thought was pretty funny.
I thought that was interesting, too. Yeah, and he plays like an Ace Bailey. Did you see him? He looks like a bulldog.
Yeah.
A big shout out to Ace Bailey. Isn't he one of the guys that died on 9/11?
I'm not sure. Well, he's like a Leaf from like the 30s. This is actually the reason why we have the All-Star game.
Older than that. Well, who was the guy on the plane that was a hockey player when they charged the cockpit, so the plane landed in the field instead of hitting the Pentagon? I'm
not sure. I'm not sure. We should look into that.
But there was an NHL player, and they said, if we're going down, we're going down. And I think that's bravery beyond anything I could possibly imagine. I would never want to be in that situation.
No, I don't think most people would. And we will move this along to the NHL, where the Toronto Maple Leafs had a very interesting weekend into the week where they fell 4-2 at St. Louis. They went the next day to Minnesota, where they lost 2-1 in overtime. It looked like they were playing back-to-back that night. But they come back home against Boston on Tuesday, bounce back to a 4-0 victory. The Leafs looked opportunistic for once against Boston, but the Bruins looked out of it at times, and Swayman, I would say, looked average for the first time ever against the Maple Leafs.
Yes, he did. Now, can I say something to Leaf Nation? Quit panicking. What do you got to panic about?
Things aren't looking good.
Well, what do you mean? You have the same record as you did 2 years ago, and you ended up with 103 points. Austin Matthews had the same points he did 2 years ago.
It's not about the regular season.
And he had 60. Okay, but you still got to be in position. I wouldn't panic. The first thing that you guys should be jumping up and down about is your goaltending situation. which is
hey, I've said this a number of times. Stolars, like, I would kiss the man if I could. I would kiss the man
and
more. I don't think he was being undersold when he came here. I would argue.
Point well taken, but Wall has played good in his last couple of starts too. So the tandem thing could work for you because neither guy's ever played more than 40 games, so you're going to need both.
I don't think either of them have played more than 30.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
Or like barely over 30.
I think Solaris is, I actually read it somewhere, I think it's 29 is the most games he's played in the season.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, but put him up to 35. You put Wall up to his 40. But right now, I think they should let Solaris, whatever his name is. Stolars. I think they should let him run with it right now.
I think they are.
Yeah, so you think he's going to play tonight? No,
probably not tonight, but he probably gets the next start.
We'll get the next one there. He has been solid.
Yeah, absolutely.
And back this up. People have to understand sometime you got a new coach with a new environment, and you can see that the Leafs are playing a little bit differently stylistically.
Yeah.
Which means they're much more responsible in their own end, and they don't get away with giving up bad goals in those pawn hockey transitions. You know what I'm saying?
They've had a few of those hiccups, though, recently.
Or
throughout the season, I should say.
Well, that's why everyone's still screaming about Austin Matthews making that bad pass.
Yeah, well, I'd like to forget about that. But
that was too, Tanev has shot the puck across the ice a couple times where he shouldn't have done it. McCabe has done it. But, I mean, you make one mistake every 10 games, you're hoping that your team be able to pick you up later. Mm-hmm. I'm actually thinking that the team is looking better than I expected. I'm glad that they have Nick Robertson in the lineup more than Ryan Reeves.
Well, I told you the way it's trending once those guys come back. So you were right. So you can play up to 5 games on a conditioning stint, but you have to ask for permission because really it's 3, but you have to ask for permission for 2, but like they'll give it to you for the 2 more.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So we're going to wait and see what those guys are coming up. I want to, big shout out to John Tavares.
Yeah.
All the shit that he's got to take this season.
Scored last night against Detroit, didn't he?
Scored 2.
Yep. Oh, and the empty net too, yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Well, what was Detroit doing on that last play? That was bizarre.
I'm not really sure. I was rewinding, looking around, going,
how'd that happen?
I don't know.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the game, basically, Detroit, they're down 2-1, final minutes of the game, passing it in their own end, and then just a miscommunication, just left it right there by the blue line. Tavares jumps on it, shoots it right into the empty net, just a few feet away.
The coach on Detroit looked like he was going to have a baby. See when they flashed.
Oh, Uncle Fester?
Oh, he was
not to be mean, but he
does.
He was great when he's been on Hockey Night in Canada. I hope.
Agreed.
If the Red Wings miss the playoffs again, I hope they have him again for round 1 coverage.
But that was a huge mistake. I'm a little concerned about the Red Wings because they're supposed to be able to be the team that scored.
Jekyll and Hyde, like you said.
Oh yeah, very much so. And I love Dylan Larkin as a player, by the way. I really like his game.
Michigan Wolverine.
You got it. And not only that, at times it seemed like because of Toronto's defensive prowess, Detroit looked like they were skating in sand a few times last night. They couldn't just get it going.
Yeah, bizarre game for them.
But not only that, that's called playoff hockey, bro. Isn't that what you want?
I guess, yeah.
You know, when you look at it that way.
Showing up for the Hall of Famers in the crowd last night.
The Hall of Fame, I want to slap that. I'm sick of this Hall of Fame. Even though
it's good class this year.
Oh, very good class. And Jeremy Roenick, who was stunned to silence, which doesn't happen too often. That was pretty wow.
Pavel Datsyuk getting in too.
Oh, great player. He had to go in there. Come on. One of the best two-way centers I've ever seen play.
Oh, there was a period there he was arguably the best player in the league too.
Oh, no doubt about it. Very good two-way player. Congratulations to the whole class of the Hall of Fame. But I'm starting to really question the validity or the integrity of the Hall of Fame in this respect.
Boys Club.
Oh, boo. And I see
complete opposite of the Baseball Hall of Fame. They have completely opposite problems.
Exactly. And did you see the Boys Club out there last night?
Oh yeah, they came in droves. Even the girls in the Boys Club were there.
Even the girls, and I noticed that too. That's funny you mentioned that. But my take on the matter is, let's go back historically, okay? I'm just going to bring this up, and you can fact check me, and you can look on it. I still don't understand why Clark Gillies is in the Hall of Fame. He was the one when he went in. That was the one that I started going, whoa, whoa,
That's
whoa,
the one
whoa.
my mom's like, how'd this happen to?
Okay, so Mrs. Milani, let's talk about that 4-cup run that the Islanders had.
Sure.
The last 2 years, the better power forward on that team was John Tonelli. And John Tonelli scored 40 goals.
I believe he had better career numbers too, I believe.
Do you? And I think that he was also a Conn Smythe winner or runner-up because he had a great run one of the years they won the Cup. So I think that the fact that Tonelli didn't play a longest career as Clark Gillies. However, if I had my choice in a Game 7, who do I want in the wing? Would I rather have Clark Gillies or Tonelli? I'm taking Tonelli. who's not even going to get a sniff at the Hall of Fame.
No.
You know what I mean? But that's what makes you question, like, were you a good teammate? Did you buy beers on that flight to frickin' Vegas? Did you lend someone some money? Okay, let them into the Hall of Fame. So I think that and it's not going to change because of
of course not.
Old Boys Club, but I really think they should look at the criterion. Because come on, man. You know what I mean?
I agree. Yeah, some guys are like, like Ray Ferraro, I remember on Overdrive, he had a good point about Andrew Chuck. He's like, yeah, Andrew Chuck was like, he was the career leader in power play goals, I believe, at the time. But he's like, he was never a guy that we circled as like a guy to like that we needed to like really watch for. It was always his line mates that were the real dangerous
100%.
ones.
I mean, he was one of the greatest freaking garbage goal guys around. He did have a good shot.
Sure.
But
him and Doug Gilmour here worked some magic.
Oh, well, Dougie. We're talking
well,
Dougie.
I know. Dougie was the straw that stirred the drink here in Toronto.
Of course. So Andrew Chuck scored 50 goals here on the fact that he was on a wing with Gilmour. So that's what I'm talking about. I don't see like a Wayne Cashman in the Hall of Fame or guys like that who were solid on the wing and won championships. Their credentials didn't get them in, but I never ever thought of them to be Hall of Fame players anyway. Hence the reason I bring up guys like Clark Gillies. So if you want to keep the credibility of the Hall of Fame that the average fan is looking at, please. I think sometimes what happens is when they put these guys in that are like before your generation, and you guys haven't seen the eye test on him, then you'll go, oh, yeah, his numbers look okay. But like people like me and your mom who watch these players go, they didn't look like Hall of Famers to us.
No, but Clark Gillies, it's not like he scored 500 goals or anything.
He played on a line with Trache and Bossy. If I was on that line, I would have put, it's like my favorite line. I would have scored 10 goals and I can't skate. Come on. That was a powerhouse. Did you ever see Trache play?
Yeah.
That guy was an animal. He'd kill you. He was nuts. And not only that, he was a great passer.
Absolutely.
Like, he knew what to do with the puck, but if he couldn't get through you, like, he's still the dirtiest play ever I've seen in my life. Montreal was up in the playoff series, and he mugged Bob Gainey in the corner and broke his shoulder. Didn't even get a penalty. Like, he came flying in, left his feet with Gainey's back to the boards and crushed his shoulder. And then Montreal was effectively finished because Gainey was so good in that series. He was on his way to a Conn Smythe again. Montreal wasn't supposed to be there. That's what after they just traded Lafleur, and the only real remnants of that.
Well, Lafleur retired.
Well, then he ended up in New York or wherever.
Yeah, but that was after he came out of retirement.
Yeah, but I think the only big guys that were on that team from the dynasty were Larry Robinson, Schutt, and Gainey.
Yeah,
at the time. But we'll always have that talk about the Hall of Fame. Just make it more credible. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
That's all.
Sure. One more thing about Toronto. I want to get to a couple more things.
Sure.
So Max Domi playing well, but just snake bitten out there, man.
I notice him every time he's on the ice, but I don't always see him in the box score, and that's a bitch. Guy's playing great two-way hockey. Yep. He didn't look at a place on the first line. You know what I mean? But, Max, just keep doing what you're doing. You know what I mean? It's got to come around to you. And now, just to tell you the opposite end of the spectrum, and not to compare teams in that, sometimes you're not snake bitten. Suddenly you're Brendan Gallagher and you're on pace for a 30-goal season. That's hockey. Like you would.
Yeah. You expect those numbers to come down a bit because he's only got one assist so far. You expect that to balance out a little bit.
Who's that?
Gallagher.
Doesn't matter. If you had said after 15 games in the season that Gallagher was on pace for 30 goals, what would you have told me?
Sure.
Said, Cruz, go stand in the corner, quit smoking weed before the show. That's what you would have told me. But that's my problem.
And he's shooting over 20%, so that's going to go down, you think?
Oh, yeah. But he's old Gallagher. He's always around the net. Great third liner. Can't wait till Montreal's got a first line.
We'll just leave it at that.
Thank you.
Back to the Leafs. One more thing I want to bring up. I like that Riley and the defense is shooting the puck a lot more. If nothing else, just to keep other defenses a lot more honest. Because in years past, the defense they were just there to pass it along. And then it was just an easy thing for the other teams to be like, okay, we don't have to send a guy to cover him because he's not going to shoot it.
No, I like the shooting part. You know how I am about shooting last night. So I seen the differential. I counted up your differential. I only seen it once. Toronto, 48 shot attempts. 18 shots on goal. Bro.
Yeah, no, good night there.
So, I told you this already. I'm glad Toronto's shooting more, and a lot of teams are shooting more. You know what I mean? They're trying to get some of those garbage goals because you get on the power play sometimes, and it's like I said, the compulsories. They pass the puck around for 60 seconds, bounces in the air, goes the other end, you don't even get a shot on goal. Come on, just fire the puck, and let's see what happens. My thing is, and I told you this in production meeting, I would make those guys go out there, put a piece of plywood in front of the net with 100 pucks, and if you don't hit that plywood 30 times, you stay out there until you do. Because I'm seeing shots, they don't even come close. That's a nice sound when they hit the glass. I wonder why someone hasn't recorded that and put it on a record and used it as percussion. But come on, put the puck on the net, guys. Winding up 9 irons from everywhere.
Well, I gave you my theory about that too, where like goalies are so good now, where like shooting for a rebound, that's not really that viable anymore because these guys rebound control. Like they're so good now.
I agree.
And like then basically like the only spot that these guys really have to shoot is like the little bit like over the shoulder underneath the crossbar. So that with that territory is going to come missing the net a lot.
Okay, I understand that too, but I'd rather hit the guy in the crest than to hit and see what happens than hit the glass above the net. Now, is everybody shooting top end 100%? Because all goalies are butterflying side to side, and like you said, their mobility is better than any time in the history of hockey. And most of the goals you see, the goalie's on his knees when the puck goes in the net.
Yeah.
Okay, that happens a lot. But I'm just saying, put the puck on the net, see what happens. You know what I mean? You're not going to get away with that with Hellebuck. But put the puck on the net and let's see what happens. I don't want to see, my pet peeve, 48 shot attempts. That means you are incompetent about 75% of the time.
Sure, well, I wouldn't say that, but
18 shots on goal, 48 scoring chances. Do we have a mathematician in the house? just saying.
Well, scoring chances is something else, but
I don't know. I'm just
scoring chances is a little bit more of a subjective stat.
I'm not big on the A word. Okay, that's all you got to know. All right, and
everything's an analytic, though. Goals is an analytic, technically.
Walking my dog around the frickin' neighborhood is an analytic. How many steps did you take, Cruz? Stop it.
Time around the block on average, like.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Was there traffic? Was there not? How many times did he stop to poop? Come on.
PPM, poops per minute.
Yeah, the whole no. We just turn up the music and go. That's the way it is. But we should. Anything else you'd like to say about the Leafs?
Yeah, I think that's it about the Leafs.
My message is Leaf Nation, and I'm not losing sleep about anything you guys do. Let's cut to the chase on that. However, the panic in the city when I walk around, walking my dog, and I'm some of the Leaf fans I'm talking to are my age and older. Some of their complaints are just panic.
Like what?
What's wrong with Austin Matthews?
Oh.
How come
well, my complaint is that you can already start to see some cracks, and you're like, oh, no, not this again.
Okay, well...
and let's not forget how many coaches have won Stanley Cups with 2 different teams. One, Scotty Bowman.
I was going to say Scotty Bowman. Okay, that's a little caveat that's interesting. Maybe he's going to change that. But, my thing is that they're looking at individuals, like one of the guys said, is Domi making his money? And I said, I think
he's fine.
I said he's playing great two-way. The other older guy said, I'd leave Domi alone.
I'm worried about the guys that are making the big money that don't allow us to ever spend money elsewhere where we might need it more.
Well, we're going to find
out defense and on the lower lines.
I think your roster's pretty set for a while, though. You can get away with another year or so.
Well, Marner and Tavares. Well, I guess you'd figure that Tavares is going to go down and Marner's going to go up, so that might cancel each other out a little bit. I don't know, but I'm still not convinced that Marner's going to sign back, to be honest. I thought it'd be a slam dunk for him to sign by Christmas, but I don't know, something about him and Berube, it doesn't look like. It looks like there's a little bit of friction there, so this is gonna be.
I think that's everybody on the top line in Berube is having.
Agreed. But Marner's the one without a contract.
But okay, well here's the crazy thing, and I'm going to say this now because slowly, some way, and I'm not always been. I'm on the Don Cherry school of thought at times, but Willie Nylander is Willie Nylander. End of story.
Yeah, either love him or you hate him.
Oh, and some people say he looks casual on the ice. I don't think that's casual anymore. I think he's floating into the spot so that he'll know he'll get a shot and goal. The guy's got 10 goals, people. And I like the fact that he confronted Berube about ice time, and we talked about it, and I like Berube's response. But however, when you see Nylander on the ice, I notice him every game, almost every shift. The guy is crafty. He's way stronger on the puck than people give him credit for. Like, he's obviously been in the gym. Remember 3 years ago? Sometimes you'd muscle him off in the corner. You don't muscle Nylander off the puck anymore. Well, then his hands are so good anyway. So I'm just saying this. Toronto Leaf Nation, here in Etobicoke, the home of Doug Ford, quit panicking, okay?
Yeah.
We'll be good. You'll be good.
We'll see. I'm still not too optimistic about it, but long way to go, I suppose.
Typical Toronto Maple Leaf situation, and I got to live with this living in this city. Come on. Some of these Leaf fans, they wreck my day on the first walk of my dog. I don't want to hear that shit. Let's talk about the weather. Come on.
Oh, you're Mr. Exciting.
Yeah.
Florida getting the sweep in Finland, I thought was pretty surprising. I did not think that Dallas would blow both those games there.
Both great hockey games, by the way.
Sure.
Very high end. Shout out to the Finnish fans.
Some of the best.
They were just off the charts. They were unbelievable. And we were going to talk about that because we were going to talk about what we believe to be, after 15 games, the 5 best teams, the 5 teams that you think are forward thinking so far this season.
Yeah.
If you remember at the beginning of the season, I kind of thought that Florida would take a step back. I am very, very wrong about that, because the 2 other guys they've moved in onto their defense they're playing really well. And they've already got...
I think they need one more D, which they can probably get the deadline, given that they're accruing cap space.
Okay, I agree, but I think that their... what would you say it? Their playoff experience and their battle-testedness, and it seems to be like, I'm saying, going to the finals 3 years in a row. Tampa did it. It is a tough go, but I think that they're playing a lot better than I expected.
And Reinhart did not take a step back like you thought he would.
Okay, and what about this Sam Bennett? He's showing that he's even more than a playoff performer this year, and the defense is solid. They got, like, what's that, Forsling, Ekblad, and Mikola?
Yeah.
Mikola or whatever. That's a good threesome to start it off, and the kids are playing with them, so I'm impressed with Florida. My question is this: who's more valuable to the team, Bennett or... how do you say his name? Wager?
Verhaeghe. Bennett. He's a center, more defensively responsible.
So Bennett's contract's going to come up. Does he get the same money as Verhaeghe?
Probably not.
That's because when you go into the room, you cannot measure intangibles when you're signing a contract, and that could be a drag for Sam Bennett. I'm not his biggest fan, but can figure where he's developed since he went from the big prospect in Calgary and then ended up being in Florida, and the way that he's been playing. You got to give the guy credit. He's one of those guys you want on your team, especially in big moments. I hate the guy personally.
Yeah.
But you can't. I want him on my team.
Sure.
But it's going to be interesting to see where they go that way. They've been playing way better than I expected them to be. Now, they've played a couple more games than most people, so everyone says, well, that puts them in first place. No, you won the games. You're there. Shut up. You want to look at it? Personally, if we're going to talk about this for a second, some people say, what about the strength of schedule? After 15 games, how can you talk about the strength of schedule?
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know. That's tough.
Yeah. Well, if you played Montreal 5 times, don't say a word. Shut up, okay? That's what we're going to put it this way. But in my opinion right now, the 5 surprise teams in the league to me are Winnipeg, Vegas, Florida, Carolina, and Minnesota. They're there. I didn't put Toronto in there just because of all the reasons that you said that you're doubtful about Toronto. Maybe in a month we'll talk about it differently. But those are the 5 teams that have really, really got my attention. Most of all, it's the Hurricanes, who are at a plus 22. They're 8-2, and I think they're going to go in tonight and beat Colorado, who's a team that's all over the board.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Any of those teams that you think I'm misleading on?
I mean, the teams that are have been the real
deal
stands out so far. Winnipeg, obviously 13-1, only the second team in NHL history to do that.
Oh, by the way, did you know what their plus minus is? They lead the league in scoring, and they lead the league in goals against average. As Scotty Bowman would say, that's more than a recipe to win the Stanley Cup.
Plus, their power play is back in form this year.
Kyle Connor, Mark Shifley, and Nicola Ehlers have been great.
Ehlers, yeah.
Is that his name, Ehlers?
And he's playing for a contract, too, which is very dangerous.
Yeah, but they've also got that Morrissey and what's his name? Pionk or whatever?
Yep.
Those guys.
Both good puck movers from the back end.
Just going to say, both good puck movers on the end. But what I've really noticed about the Winnipeg Jets, and we always talk about this, I think Adam Lowry's putting his name in there already for take a look at the Selke.
That's a good point.
I seen Winnipeg play the other night.
Is he going to be able to get the attention though because of where he plays?
That's the number one drawback, and I hate that. But if you see,
and he's more of like a third line center too, isn't he?
Doesn't matter. He's out there a lot against the big guys.
Yeah, but Selke to win it as a third line center, that's a tough ask.
If he's got his plus minus is great. Okay, what is he? He's a plus 13 or something. I don't know. This early in the season, Like, come on.
Well, you expect those numbers to fall back to earth a
Of
little
course
bit.
they do. They're a little bit bloated for this time of the year, but let's put it this way. He's out there on the power play. I mean, on the second power play unit sometimes.
Yeah.
He's always out there on the penalty kill. He's out there in the big defensive end face-offs. Last 5 minutes of the game, he's usually playing against the number one center on the other team. To me, that always says candidacy for Selke. What's he doing wrong? Except for playing in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Except for playing in
And
Winnipeg.
then they have to keep up their standing as well. Because if they do stay as a first-place team, even in a good Central division, that'd be a big boost. I'm sure that they'd be able to help them get a lot of votes there.
To me, personally, Winnipeg Jets is the biggest surprise in the NHL.
Oh, Minnesota's up there too for me.
Well, I gave Minnesota love in our preview. I gave Minnesota and Carolina love. So I'm not saying that. I was saying that the Jets were going to take a step back. Kyle Connor could be in line for the Rocket. Mm-hmm. Think about that. You know.
So one thing I was looking at was we're kind of like talking about LA. Maybe we were wrong, but
yes.
Well, hold on though. They've lost a bunch of games in overtime, and their goal differential is only +4.
Was it even that high? That must have just been from last night or the night before because it was +2 a couple days ago. I was looking at it because I was getting ready to scream at them, and then I looked at their plus-minus, and I went,
Yeah, because let's be real, their goaltending's still shit.
100%. But they skate good. You know, they
got
got a lot of young kids, that Byfield
But if you
guy,
can't get a stop.
They've won. I think they're one of the highest scoring teams in the league, but they're middle of the pack with goals against, isn't it?
Let's see. They have 45 goals against. That's not very good.
No.
They're allowing 3 a game.
Yeah, that's not good. That's why I like Minnesota much better. Because I like Minnesota's goaltending. What's his name?
Philip Gustafson?
Yes.
He's come back in form this year after it was a horrible last season.
I know you were mentioning that a lot.
Yeah,
but
Fleury's he's playing average, but that's good enough for what you needed from your backup, right?
Exactly, and he's a good tandem guy. He's only going to play those in the games. I really like the reception he got in Pittsburgh when they played against him. That was a really class move.
He's one of 3 or 4 goaltenders to have 1,000 career games.
Yep. One thing I like about Minnesota.
And Kaprizov's leading the league in points.
Oh, 100%. But who else is playing on Minnesota?
Well, they have
Spurgeon,
yeah. They're Brodin on defense.
Yeah, okay.
Marco Rossi.
Yeah.
They got some good young guys.
Nobody knows who they are, and their first 2 lines go against anybody in the league. And they're solid.
Well, they can all skate.
They all,
Matthew Boldy, another one I forgot to mention. Zuccarello's still doing it at 60 years old or whatever.
But, you know, the thing is about what you're saying. They skate really, really, really well.
Brock Faber, the rookie standout last year.
That kid's looking very, very good. If Minnesota keeps on going, I don't think he'll win it, but he'll get Norris Trophy talk.
He'll get some love.
Yeah,
he'll get some love.
I really like the way Minnesota plays hockey. That's all I'm saying. But the team that I'm saying everybody that you better watch out for is the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah,
they're a good hockey team. I'm expecting them to go into Colorado and keep giving Colorado their miserable season.
Although McCarr's back.
What's that?
McCarr's back. It doesn't look like he's going to miss any time.
Yeah, but he's got to get to be a plus player.
Oh, I agree. There's some issues there.
That's the thing that I get about me. But the reason I'm bringing up Carolina is another team. Who plays on Carolina?
Well, you got Aho. Martin Nashis is lights out this year. Where'd this come from? 21 points in 12 games.
That's what I'm saying.
After he's complaining about ice time and whatever, they finally give it to him, I guess. And he's not even killing. He's only playing 17 and a half a night. But with that production,
unbelievable.
It's unreal. It's unreal.
Okay, so this gets back to my original premise. It's always about the eye test. And when you're in Carolina and you're in Winnipeg or you're in Minnesota, you're playing in almost foreign territory because all you hear about the Jerseys, the Rangers,
Boston, they're not those teams that are that get the national spotlight.
Exactly. And if Carolina goes to the finals this year, I will not be surprised. And oh, by the way, you see their back end?
Oh, they're solid back there.
Oh, no doubt about it. And
they're another team with goaltending kind of they've been playing Kochetkov and his numbers aren't very good.
Yeah, but I call him like the defense. Bend, don't break. He makes the big
.896 save percentage.
But you know what?
That's gonna bite you in the bum.
Okay, twice this year I've seen him play, and the score was 3-3 or something, and he made the big save at the right time, and Carolina went down and won the game. Mm-hmm. Any coach is going to tell you, go to the Grant Freer School of Goaltending. Make sure you make the big save at the right time, and he seems to be doing it, hence the reason that Carolina has the record that they have. I don't think Carolina's going away. No,
No,
I don't think they're going to go away. And
But my question with them is like, they kind of feel like Vegas year one, where they don't really have a first line. So how far can that really carry you?
Okay, so they got 3 second lines.
I get that.
I like the way they play.
I think that helps you. I think in the regular season, that's a big advantage. But the deeper you go in the playoffs, that's less and less of an advantage because, like, top talent in any sport, hockey, baseball, whatever,
I'm not gonna deny
that top talent is really what carries you in the playoffs. And Carolina, unless they acquire more talent, which is possible.
Yes, but my one caveat on all of this is we still only played 15 games. We're going to wait till...
Not even for a lot of teams.
Okay, so we're getting the 15-game mark. We still said that we're going to make serious analysis at American Thanksgiving.
That's coming up.
That's only 3 weeks away. So we'll have to see how that's going to play out. One other thing I wanted to talk to you about, and you were pumping his tires, and so was I for a bit. But and it brings up the question of how you coach. But Mitchkoff of Philadelphia was scratched. I've heard a lot of talk about, is this good, bad, or ugly? And all the fingers are pointed at Torts.
Well, who's scratching him?
Okay, well, he's the coach. So if you're not performing, then you're not getting on the ice. So the question is, John Tortorella, is he a confidence killer of young players? I don't think so. I don't either. But I heard that.
Le Cavalier and San Luis developed under him in Tampa Bay.
End of story.
And Brad Richards.
Okay,
so
but you know what they were saying? That's 20 years ago. He was much younger, had a different attitude. I don't know.
I think he was harder back then.
I'm not denying it. Now, what kind of coach is Torts now? Is he now just become a transitional coach, or is he the coach that takes you to the promised land? At this point in his career.
At this point, it doesn't look like that he's going to be taking Philly to the promised land. But
not any time lately.
No. But could be wrong there. But he's there to help develop these players. And if it gives Michkov the kick in the ass he needs, I don't have a problem with this.
I don't either. That's why I say it's overblown. It's overblown. You get the kid's attention. The kid's got a lot of talent. His problem is he's already thinking he's scoring goals. Yeah. Got to remember, he's not. He's a defensive liability yet. Like that. So I heard the best way to look at it is, I don't know if you remember a guy named Rupp. I think it was Mike Rupp. He played for Jersey.
New Jersey.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, anyways, he was on...
Scored a Stanley Cup winning goal.
Yes. Okay, was it on Overdrive or NHL Network? Because he's an analyst there. He was talking about when you get sent to the press box. He said one night Lou Lamoriello invited him to watch the game in the press box with him because he was a healthy scratch. Now, what do? You don't say no to the general manager. You go to sit down. What he said fascinated him, and he put this in his back pocket, and I thought it was really, really cool, is he said, they're watching the game, and remember Patrick Elias?
Of course.
Guy was amazing. He said, Rupp said, Elias would come down the ice, make a play that was an eye-opener, put the puck in the net. Lou would be sipping on his beer. The next play, Gianta would push the puck in the corner and go on the forecheck, and Lamoriello would be going, did you see that? Look at the way he put the puck in the corner. Look at the way he worked in the end there. And Rupp said, that made me realize attention to details. Yep. Everybody notices the big goals and the fancy plays, but everyone forgets sometimes about those little details on the ice that lead to goals.
Yeah, winning those 50-50 battles, et cetera.
And I thought that was interesting. So I'm with Torts on this. And you know what? Philadelphia's record isn't great, but they're not getting blown out.
No.
They're not getting blown out. I hate Philly anyway, so if they get in last place, who cares?
But the team in last place right now is quite the shocker. Nashville, 4-9-1. Losers of their last 3 in a row. Barry Trotz, I don't know if you're aware of this. He does a weekly radio hit in Nashville, which I feel like a lot more GMs should do. But he was recently...
Talks too much.
What?
What's his
Barry
name?
Trotz?
Yeah.
Well, he got himself in a little bit of trouble with that rebuild comment. But I think that was taken out of context, though.
I heard it played live, what he said. If I was the guys in the dressing room, if I was Marchessault, Stamkos, what's the goalie's name?
Saros
and Josie. If I'm hearing that, I'd be going, what? What did I come here for?
Well, I think they probably should scratch one of their big boys just to get some,
Interesting.
I might scratch Stamkos if I was on that team.
I don't think that's going to happen. I understand where you're going with this.
He's a -11.
Not only that, they got 3 or 4 guys playing wanting to do the same thing. You got to put them out on the power play at the same time. Well, who sets them up? You know what I mean? And you got to get comfortable with your new centers. And who are the big centers on besides Forsberg? Who's a big center?
Well, Forsberg's a winger, but O'Reilly is your number one. Number two center's been a bit of a mismatch this year. Like, they had Tommy Novak. He's injured now, but there's really no answer there internally. Unless they move Stamkos back to center, which might be the solution.
I would do that right now. They need a change, man.
I think they have to.
Like, you know what? The season's moving along. You say, well, we're going to get better. We're going to get better.
You're in last place.
You're
behind San Jose.
Thank you very much. And you're the Nashville Predators, who we said before the season started could
I had them in as my number two in the Central.
There you go. It's, like I said, it's only 15 games. We could be talking a lot different when it comes to American Thanksgiving, but I've seen Nashville play. And I'm going, You know what I mean? They have a lot of trouble getting, and they have Josie, who gets the puck to center, but the guys can't seem to get over the blue line. That's their problem. And Buddy back there in goal, how many times have I seen him get hung out to dry? Even when they lost in overtime or they've lost that late goal in the third period, it's not always his fault. Everybody's confused. Or Stamkos is up the ice and not back checking. Okay. I don't want to bring it up that way, but that's just the way it looks right now.
100%.
You know what I mean?
McDavid is also going to be back in action tonight. A little bit of a boost for the Edmonton Oilers.
He played the other night.
Oh, did he? Okay, there we go then.
He played the other night, and he looked pretty damn good. They couldn't score.
No.
But that's Vegas they played, though.
Yep. But like we said before, the road to American Thanksgiving is on. We know the percentages. If you're not in the playoffs by then, your chances of making it are pretty bad. And right now we have the Islanders, the Penguins, the Red Wings, the Sabres, Ottawa, all on the outside looking in. And on the west, St. Louis, Edmonton, Seattle, Colorado. Still got some.
I think Seattle's going to make a fight, but the big one it is because I like St. Patrick. I'm very disappointed in the performance of the New York Islanders.
They're ninth right now, minus negative goal differential.
That's the problem. Yeah. And you know what? They're another team that doesn't get blown out, but they don't know how to finish.
Yeah, it's a problem with them.
You know what I mean? But
Barzal's hurt, too.
Barzal just got hurt, so that takes away from some of the power they have. But I've watched them play a couple times because I'm cheering for Patrick, and the games are so tight, and they never get that break.
No.
Never. You know, but there's still, only 1 or 2 games under 500.
I think they're at fake 500 with the overtime losses.
Well, you got to figure the first game of the season, they were like, 1-5, 2 whatever it was. So they're climbing slowly back, but I'm not as confident about them as I was.
5-5 in their last 10, so.
Like I said, I'm not quite as confident as them as I was to start the season.
No. Ready for our picks for tonight?
God bless the Montreal Canadiens. Don't fire Marty St. Louis. Bring back Logan Mayo. Kirby Doc.
I think he needs to develop a little bit in the minors.
Kirby Doc, where are you? APB.
It's a big question.
APB on Kirby Doc, where are you? Our best line is Anderson, Armani, and Gallagher.
Yeah.
Easily our best line. And that's a third line. But they play great. The defense still a lot to learn on our back end. And you know what? Get rid of Matheson. How many times have I seen you see him the other night?
We still got another year in his contract, so I'm not convinced.
Trade him at the deadline. Get rid of the guy. You know how many times he's been on the ice for that goal that broke our back?
A number of times, I imagine.
More than twice the other night. Who did we just lose to late? Pittsburgh, was it? We were in Pittsburgh? No.
That was last weekend.
Washington. When we played Washington this week, didn't we lose to Washington? We gave up 2 horrible goals, and Matheson was on the ice both times. Oh, he's an offensive guy. He's good on the power play. Well, I've seen our power play, and I've seen his minus 13 plus minus. He's a defenseman. Hey, I hope the door doesn't hit him in the ass as we push him out there, man, because I'm done with this guy. Done.
And on that note, let's get to our Saturday night picks. So first up, Calgary.
Whoa, wait. Before I say anything, when you check our picks.
Oh, from last week?
No. I don't want to even bring that up.
Well, I beat you. I was 8 for 11 last week. You were 4 for 11.
As I was going to say, if you are wondering on the capabilities of John Alexander Cruz being a prognosticator for Saturday night hockey games, do you know that there's a dog walking down the street? He's kind of stray. He needs a bone. Ask him who's going to win a game.
So on the season, I'm beating you 31-24, and
Is that all?
I have won 2 weeks compared to 1.
Okay, but I thought I was like 10 behind you at least.
No.
Okay, here we go. This is a chance to redeem myself and show everybody I am the hockey guy that I perceive myself to be. And I'm going to tell you that it's going to be the greatest comeback, just as the Montreal Canadiens are going to surge by Christmas time and change everybody's mind. Oh, by the way, I sell bridges.
Bridges?
I sell bridges. Who buys a bridge?
Sell bridges, okay. All right, so first up, Calgary at Buffalo. I'm going to take Buffalo to win at home.
I do too. Buffalo's interesting, eh? They win, they lose, they win, but their big
Jekyll
line,
and Hyde.
But their big line looks good with Tage, like Thompson and Tuck and those guys, and that goalie. How do you say his name? Valuva. Valuvalage.
Oh my God, I'm blanking right now.
It starts with a V. Do you know my biggest problem in sports is not knowing how to say guys' names?
Pekka Luukkonen.
Yeah, Luukkonen. Okay. What did I say with a V? Yeah, Luukkonen, whatever. He's good.
Pekka Luukkonen. It's a hyphenated last name.
He good. But, okay, I'm taking Buffalo.
Me too. Philadelphia at Florida. I'm going to take the Panthers to win at home.
Where is that at again? I'm taking the Panthers too. That could be a blowout.
Could be.
Money line on that.
Ottawa Senators at the Boston Bruins. I'm going to take the Bruins to take this one at home.
Only because the Bruins are pissed on a Saturday night, I'm also taking the Bruins.
All right, Montreal Canadiens at the Toronto Maple Leafs, the revenge match from opening night. I'm going to take the Leafs to defend home court.
I pass. Oh, yeah, you're not allowed to do that?
No.
It's killing me. I'm going to take the Leafs.
Ooh, okay.
Nick Saban reverse jinx.
Okay. New York Rangers at the Detroit Red Wings. I'm going to take the Rangers on the road.
Especially since Detroit played last night and had a rough time against
the Leafs.
The Leafs, yeah. I'm taking the Rangers.
Washington Capitals at the St. Louis Blues. I'm going to take the Capitals on the road.
I'm taking the Blues all day. I think they're better than expected, and they're good at home.
First time that we've had a difference of a pick here. Dallas Stars at the Winnipeg Jets. I'm going to take Winnipeg to keep their streak alive.
I'm saying that the Dallas Stars are one of the best teams in hockey, and this is the night where they're going to start to show it. It's going to be like when Toronto snuck in there and beat them for the first time. I'm taking the Stars all night. I love their first two lines. And that second line with Duchesne and Seguin and them boys, oh, they're good. They're good. I'm taking Dallas.
New Jersey Devils at the New York Islanders. I'm going to take the Devils on the road.
I'm taking the Islanders. Have a good time tonight because they don't like Jersey. It's in New York City. Let's go, Patrick. Taking the Islanders.
Utah HC at Nashville Predators. I was going to take Nashville, but they just do not seem to be getting better. Give me Utah on the road.
I'm taking the Predators. They got to take one game to get it better. Come on. Taking the Predators.
Carolina Hurricanes at the Colorado Avalanche.
Carolina all day.
You're on Carolina. I'm on Colorado.
All day.
I think if this was a bad team, I might be taking Colorado because they just seem to be that kind of team that loses the game that you shouldn't win. You shouldn't lose.
Okay, well, I think Carolina is going to come in and stifle them defensively.
We'll see.
I think it's going to be a low-scoring game.
We'll see. Columbus Blue Jackets at the LA Kings. I'm going to take the Kings at home.
Kings all day.
And last but not least, Edmonton Oilers at the Vancouver Canucks. I'm going to take the Oilers to win this one on the road.
That's interesting because I'm doing the same.
All right, sir, good luck to you. Mostly the same with our picks, but with a few notable differences.
Well, if you look at the numbers and the trends with a Saturday night and home and shit, you got to kind of go for it. So you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So we'll move us on to our last and obviously
most significant
segment, the NFL, where we will begin with our power rankings. Cruz, would you like to start?
First of all, can I just say one thing? I'm going to say it again because I'm loving it, but inside my stomach churns like a gerbil on a track when people are starting to talk about the Detroit Lions is the best team in football. Bro, you know how long I've cheered for the Lions? I get nervous when they start saying, I get on TV, no team's going to beat the Lions. Well, they got the momentum to go all the way. I sit there and go, oh, God, give me my weed. Where's my weed? I am so, when I watch the games, I'm on edge. And I shouldn't be because, bro, you got to understand this. At least you're a Toronto guy and they say it's the same. No, you make the playoffs. You do shit. Tell me what Detroit has done except being ripped off by Dallas in a playoff game in the last 20 years. 0-16.
Well, show me how many Leaf playoff series they've won the last 20 years.
Okay, but doesn't matter. Different sport, different time. I'm just saying
but
this
it's
right
very
now.
comparable. And for you to say it's not is a little asinine.
Okay, whatever the case may be. First of all, the gods of karma. I'm going to tell you about my... Okay, we'll get the rankings first, and I'm not going to rant a little bit more about my Lions, okay?
Okay.
Want me to give you my rankings?
Let's do it.
Number 5, the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh, I thought about them. They're not on my list.
Number 4, the Baltimore Ravens.
Okay.
Number 3, the Buffalo Bills. Number 2, the Kansas City Chiefs. And the number 1 team in the NFL, according to me and my dog Stanley, is the Detroit Lions. Yeah!
All right, so our lists are pretty close. So number 5, I got the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I had them in consideration.
Number 4, I got Buffalo.
Okay.
Number 3, I got Baltimore.
Okay.
Number 2, I got Detroit. And number 1, I got Kansas City.
Well, the reason being is like there's a comparison note now, okay? Tampa Bay stole the game from Detroit in week 2. If you look at the numbers, we should have won that game. However, Tampa Bay went into Kansas City, and Kansas City needed overtime to beat them. Yeah. So the only comparable thing is, well, Kansas City won, Detroit lost to the same team, so that's a barometer to look at. But that was a long time ago in week 2, and we've still got 8 games to go. So for all my Lions people, we still got 9 games to go. 17-game season, we got a long way to go. Now, I just want to say one thing about the Lions game this last week. They're getting a lot of press. People are jumping up and down about them, but there's one thing about the Lions. People are not completely comfortable with MCDC. Okay? They think he's a bit of a blowhard. He's this and that and the other thing. The team is playing like him.
I disagree. I think he's been getting a lot of love recently.
He should get more because sometimes there's a decision. Now, here's why I picked Detroit as the number 1 team. They're the only team in the NFL that's top 5 in defense and top 5 in offense.
Okay.
That's the formula to go to the Super Bowl. Now, let's take it one step further.
Which I think they will go to the Super Bowl this year.
Oh, knock wood,
Eminem versus Taylor Swift in the Super Bowl. Let's do it.
Don't make me nervous. In any event, did you see some of the hits that we seen on the weekend in the NFL with shoulders and helmets? Guys got 15 yards. Guys didn't get 15 yards. One of the most ridiculous things that ever happened in the rain in Lambeau Field with all the nonsense was kicking Brian Branch out of the game in the first quarter, early in the second quarter? That was insane. They were showing plays on Good Morning Football, 6 plays exactly same. 2 of them weren't even called. The other 3 guys got flags, and Branch got thrown out. What kind of bullshit is
ridiculous.
that? Come on. What's going on in New York? Now, the thing that Branch did, he's still young and he's crazy, is, do you notice we got a 30 yards on that, don't you?
Yeah.
15 for freaking intent, and then 15 for freaking fingering the crowd. Listen, the guy was a little pissed. I would have been more animated than he was because it was a momentum play. Thank God, one of my favorite players of all time, Mr. Tom Brady, who was on the broadcast, along with, what's his name? Burkhardt. They both went,
Yeah.
They both went, what about's going on here? So my theory is this. You can do whatever you want to the Detroit Lions. We're going to rise above it and eat you for breakfast.
Okay. I love that.
Yes. This is if you're a guy like me, man, this whole lion stuff, this is like so new to me. And so it's like that new girlfriend and you're totally in love with, you can't put your clothes on. That's how I'm feeling about the Lions right now. Every day I'm freaking. Every time they bring them up, I'm just freaking. But hey, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? Big game this week.
Absolutely. Shout out to Derrick Henry, became the 10th player in NFL history to score 100 career rushing touchdowns. The others being Emmitt Smith, LaDainian Tomlinson, Marcus Allen, Adrian Peterson, Walter Payton, Jim Brown, John Riggins, Marshall Faulk, and Sean Alexander. So quite the company he is in after that 41-10 win versus the Broncos last Sunday.
That was an easy pick for me, too. That was a very easy pick. Before we go on, though, because technically Week 10 has started, did you watch the Baltimore-Cincinnati game?
Crazy game.
One of the best games I've seen all year. So I'm just going to say this. Joe Burrow is playing as good as any quarterback in the NFL right now. He didn't have Higgins. He's got an O-line that's suspect at best and no running game.
Yeah.
Look at the guys.
And Zach Moss just got hurt for them, too. I know they got a guy at the deadline, but we'll talk a little bit about the deadline later.
But in any event, I think that Joe Cool is Joe Cool, man. He's my Snoopy in football right now. Did you see him play the other night? That guy played his ass off. And if it wasn't for that stupid turnover in their own zone, that was a Cincinnati win. Now, I want to shout out to the coach because when they tied the game up and they went for 2, I was all for that. By the way, how come Joe Burrow doesn't get any calls? Did you notice on that 2-point conversion there was 2 face masks and they weren't called?
Yep.
Not 1, 2. Bro, 2 face masks on a crucial part of the game, and they didn't call 1? Come on. What are you doing here? Go back to New York. What about replay assist? I seen the mask. I seen Joe Burrow's eyes go missing because his face mask was around his freaking Adam's apple. Come on, people.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
You know what it does? It takes away from the credibility of the game in this way. What do we review? What do we don't review? What is a penalty? What is it not a penalty? Is the situation dictating when you're going to call? Stop it. It wrecks the game. Not only that, the gamblers.
Yeah. Although my gamble, my parlay didn't pay off because Lamar didn't score a touchdown, but
yes, he got stopped at the 1.
Yeah, he did.
Got stopped at the 1. I think Lamar is playing as good as he's ever played, but I'll still tell you this much. He still needs a little bit more touch. You know what I mean? He's getting better at getting those intermediate throws. Because remember, he used to throw everything at 90?
Yeah.
And he's throwing sidearm, and he's doing this, he's doing that, and he's doing pretty good. But Joe Burrow's playing every bit as good as Lamar. And let's put it this way. Are you going to say that Baltimore's defense is that much better than the Bengals? With the 6-2 Pittsburgh Penguins with Pittsburgh Pirates? Steelers with the most ferocious defense in the league? Those 3 teams are going to have a dogfight to the end of the year, and I'm not counting Baltimore out yet because they've got Pittsburgh 2 more times, and I think they got Cleveland 1 more times. So if they win those games, changes the dichotomy of the whole division.
I'm counting the Bengals out, though, at this point in the playoffs. I think that was it right there.
Huge setback when they had a chance to win the game. But I'm trusting, I've never been the biggest Joe Burrow guy. But, man, every game I see him this year, he's getting sacked. He's getting raped. Yeah. He's getting pushed. And the guy's still getting the ball downfield, and he doesn't even have T. Higgins. I do not think that Jamar Chase is the best wide receiver in the league. I still say Justin Jefferson is the best wide receiver.
I agree.
But Chase, you hear him every time?
He's awesome.
What does he say? I'm 7'11".
Always open.
Always open. He said that again. You know what I mean? Oh, we got to come over here right now. I got one question to ask this gentleman here who's a truly outstanding Toronto Argonaut line, and you're not going to like this. We're just talking before I got here. The problem with the Montreal Canadiens is we don't have a number 1 line. What are you saying, bro?
We got 3 fucking number 2 lines.
No, we got 3 number 3 lines. Come on, stop it. Do you agree with me, though? They're playing well, but we don't have a number 1 line, bro.
When Lanny comes back, everything's going to be fine.
When's that?
Oh, late?
When's
Lanny?
that?
Yeah.
I hope so. Oh, did I? Okay, well, we'll get back in. Okay. Good to see you. Good big day today, Argos. Yep. In any event, what we were talking about is I think Joe Burrow, and they were talking about now the top guys in the league that are playing quarterback. Let's not leave Kirk Cousins out of the conversation either.
No, absolutely not.
You know what I mean? And will Jared Goff get MVP love?
Trending that way.
I don't think he'll win just because he's in Detroit, unless we go like 16-1 or something crazy like that.
Why not?
His efficiency is ridiculous. You know
That's the thing.
More touchdown passes than incompletions.
I know, it's insane.
No stat has ever been in the history of the National Football League. I don't think it's going to go for the rest of the year. Come on. But the fact that we played, they're 7-1, and we have that kind of completion percentage and a number that says more touchdowns than incompletions, just an unbelievable number. But great game on Thursday night.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the best of the season. Mm-hmm. Going back to the previous week, Panthers beating the Saints in that one, ended up leading to the Saints firing Dennis Allen as their head coach. Looks like a full rebuild is ahead, especially after they traded Marshawn Lattimore to Washington at the deadline.
Well, they had to, but what are you going to do this? Oh, Serge, you're a champ. You're a champ. By the way, New Orleans started off the season scoring 90 points.
Yeah, I know.
In the next 4 games, they didn't score 90. So they were just a facade. Injuries affected them too. But when you lose to Carolina and it's your, 6 losses in a row?
Nah.
And he wasn't doing that great last year?
No.
Bye-bye. Sorry, Dennis Allen. I'm not going to say he's not an NFL coach because a lot of people have trashed him this week and said he should have been gone a long time ago. I never want to see a man get fired.
No.
You know what I mean?
And it's just strange NFL, you don't see people getting fired mid-season, but we have already had 2 mid-season firings.
Yeah, and there might be a guy in Fort Worth that might be going out the door before the end of the season too.
You think they're going to do it mid-season?
I don't know, but we'll get to that in a second. In any event, we'll bring this up really quickly because he was really funny on TV this week talking about the state of this team. But are the New York Jets done?
No, I don't think so yet. Their next few games are pretty favorable going into their bye week, right?
100%.
Like they got no, they don't have the Bills play the Colts this week, but I know they have the Colts coming up.
Yep.
Okay, so at Arizona today versus the Colts next week, then their bye week. So if they win both those and are 5-6 going into their bye, I would say that puts them in pretty good position.
But Arizona is the sneakiest team in the league, and the NFC West is the craziest division. Is the craziest division. Like, they can't afford to lose, can they?
No.
San Francisco, do you still think they're the front runner in that division?
It's so hard to say. It depends how things go tomorrow with Thing back in the lineup.
Well, we'll find out. But I'm still saying that my outside shot is Matthew Stafford and the Rams are going to sneak that division out sometime. Sure. Their defense is becoming amazing. They got, 5 guys or 7 guys under 25 in their top 7, and they're playing like freaking the proverbial Lawrence Taylor pack of dogs.
And Kupp and Nakua are back.
Oh, and I'm finally hearing it saying, I heard Aaron Rodgers say it. I heard Mike Lombardi say it. I heard Bill Belichick said, when are you going to start talking about the greatness of Matthew Stafford? He won a Super Bowl and everybody forgot about him. But do you see Stafford playing this year?
He's been very good.
Excellent. One of my favorite guys of all time. Love you, Matthew Stafford. I'm still picking them as an outside shot at winning that division.
Well, why not? They're only half a game back.
Exactly. And they got to play those teams again in their division. A couple other games that got my attention last week, and I should have boxed it, and I would have won $350 instead of the 102 I won. But the Bills couldn't cover against the Dolphins. I should have seen that coming. A division game. They already beat them once. Like any spread around 7 or more.
But the Bills usually have been dominating Miami the last few years, though.
Exactly, but you forget that Tua's back and their offense was a little bit better. I didn't expect it as much. That was a good football game, a good dogfight. Is Josh Allen an MVP candidate? 100%. Least weapons in the year. Amari Cooper has not seen much of the field yet. Shakir is turning into being one of those slot receivers that you're going to get.
Yep.
And their running game is solid, especially when you include Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Which they're running away.
Well, him and Cook, they're phenomenal from the backfield.
Running away with it. Any other games that got your attention last week?
Yeah, Arizona crushed Chicago. It looks like the Bears are falling apart at the worst possible time.
They're going to win this week, though, I think, don't they? They got Miami at home?
New England.
Or New England
I think the Patriots are going to take it.
I don't think so, but I'm going to tell you this. That Hail Mary is a huge crush on any team. I've heard 100 guys say this week, when you go back in the dressing room and you lose a game like that was in the palm of your hand, to lose it that way.
Well, not only that, but they have a coach that arguably should have been fired in the offseason. There's already talks of that heating up. It doesn't look like that the Bears are going to fire him midseason because I don't think that's the way they operate, but he looks like a lame duck.
I think he's on borrowed time, too. When Michael Wilbon comes on PTI and gives his 2 cents on it, you know this guy's going out of town. You know what I mean?
Mr. Chicago himself.
Mr. Chicago. When he starts chirping about the coach, I go, wow, ma.
Do you have anything else to add for that Lions-Packers game?
The fact that the weather was insane.
The rain?
The rain was unbelievable. But here's the really thing is, if you really talk about football, it always comes down to about 4 plays. So let's just look at that game, and Michael Lombardi, which I thought about this, but when he said it really got there. The reason you defer the ball, because you always want to start the second half with the ball.
Yeah.
So let's see where...
That's what Belichick would do all the time.
Exactly. He was the one that started it, actually. Or made it predominant.
Yeah.
But let's put it this way. There was 3 big plays. Detroit scores a touchdown to go ahead 10-3. Jordan Love makes that I'm going to be a hero pass, which Joseph picked up and ran in for a pick 6. The Lions come out and get the kickoff, march right down the field and score a touchdown. The game was effectively over right then.
Yep.
The score flattered Green Bay because they got a garbage touchdown in the 4th quarter, but Detroit completely dominated Green Bay in their house in bad weather where everyone was calling, this is when Detroit's going to fall down. Going to Lambeau in bad weather, they got Jordan Love and everybody back. Fuck you. That's all I got to say.
KC won an overtime thriller against Tampa Bay, another one of the great games that we saw recently, I thought.
I think Baker Mayfield should be getting some MVP talk. That guy's resurgence.
His team's starting to fall back, though. That's the problem. I actually cashed out on my bet for all the division winners because I don't think Tampa Bay is going to crawl back.
Well, I look at it this way. I'm going to say about Tampa Bay is this. They played without Godwin and Evans. He found a new wide receiver, and they were freaking pretty solid on defense against KC and the boys.
Sure.
I think the big difference in Kansas City, when we're talking about trade deadlines moves, the most significant one is going to be D-Hop. Did you see him? Did you see him? He's one of my favorite.
Talk about 7-Eleven.
Oh, my God. Did you see that one where Mahomes dropped it in the bucket when he split 3 guys? And you see Hopkins, who's not the biggest guy in the field.
No.
But does he have the biggest hands?
Yeah.
Dude, his hands go up. His hands are buckets.
All the talk about him being washed up was so
bullshit.
ridiculous.
It was
Because if you
bullshit.
watch those Tennessee games, he was wide open. He just didn't have a quarterback that could find him.
Well, they were making fun of Will Levis.
Billy Jeans.
Billy Jeans. They were making fun of him on a couple of shows earlier in the year. And what they would flash on is they would show Will running around like crazy. And you'd look down the field, and there's D-Hop sitting there having a butt waiting for this guy to go, you going to get the ball to me or what? They showed about 6 plays where they'd isolate him, and they'd be talking. If this was Mahomes, if this was a Burrow, if this was
Any
a Goff,
competent quarterback.
then D-Hop's numbers would have been through the roof already. He shows up in Kansas City, his second game, and he always looks like a pertinent part of the offense.
Yeah.
You know what he's doing too? He's making Travis Kelce look better.
Yes, he is.
Which is a huge thing to do because Kelce's had a slow start, and I didn't think he was going to put it up. But I've seen Kelce the last 2 games. He hasn't really lost a step. He's blocking a little bit more, which I've never said he's a great blocker, but he made a couple of key blocks during the game the other night to spring things through. But what do you say about the regular season? They're ever going to go to, like, everybody gets a chance at the ball? Because when Kansas City won the coin toss, I went and walked to my dog. I said, hey, this is over.
Yeah, it's regular season. You got to find a way to wrap it up. I like how they added it to overtime or to the overtime of the playoffs where both teams get a chance.
Yes.
But it's regular season, like, let's go. People got work the next day.
So what do you got to see? Raheem Morris should have went for it? Cincinnati didn't fail, so all the analytics people are going to go, who's right on the analytics?
I don't disagree with that. Like, the game was in Kansas City, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, so if you have a chance to close it out on the road, I tend to say just try and go for it.
That's what Cincinnati did, and I give them credit for doing that. So does that tell you that they had a no balls move?
Well, it's also depending on how you think your team is going, right?
I'm going to say this. What did analytics say?
Go for it.
Fuck analytics. That's what I say. You feel the move of the game. That's why Cincinnati had momentum. Tampa Bay had momentum. So you
So you think they should have gone for it?
I think that on the road. If I'm at home, that's
play it safe. Yeah,
they're gonna play it safe. But if I'm on the road, this is Kansas City, one of the most Arrowhead toughest places to play on national TV. Yep. I'd rather go down fighting like a lion than walking off like a lamb.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Dak Prescott out at least 4 weeks. He's going for a second opinion, I believe. Probably could miss the rest of the season.
Jerry Jones, let's just ask you a simple question. You needed a running back. So you had the chance to pick up 3. Now let's just discuss these 3 running backs that you could have picked up for $6 million a year. Ezekiel Elliott, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry. Oh, gee, Jerry, what general manager, what a great move you made. You had to pick a 3.
A couple teams in that division looking foolish for their wide or running back situations and decisions.
Derrick Henry was leaning toward a Dallas. The word around the campfire is he would have went to Dallas.
That's insane.
Baltimore just came and said, John Harbaugh whispered in his ear, look at those crazy guys over here. I think they outbid him, but not by much. And now look at Derrick Henry. He has to be considered an MVP candidate.
At least offensive player of the year.
Oh, he'll definitely do that. The guy's got 1,000 yards already. He's got a touchdown in every game this year.
No, he's been so good. Like,
and he's made Lamar better, which is a huge thing when you think about it. And
I'm happy that Baltimore is actually like running the ball through him after beginning of the season, saying like, "Oh, we're not going to do this." It's like, are you guys insane? They smartened up quickly, thankfully.
Oh, I do too, but I'm going to tell you this much. Baltimore's defense can be had, and Baltimore has always been known as a team that plays defense.
Yeah.
What about their fourth quarter problems? This is starting to be a trend. This is not one game. This is not 2 games. Look at Burrow went right down the field on them in the fourth quarter. They've lost 2 games like that this year already against shit teams.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? So I think that they can be a little bit exposed on their back end, and if they don't toughen up their secondary...
Oh, I agree.
You know, you're not going to do this against Kansas City, who, by the way, has what? a top 5 defense.
I think we're trending towards Baltimore losing in the championship game again this year if I had to bet.
Don't count out Buffalo.
Buffalo's going to lose to Kansas City in the division round.
Oh,
if history's
stop it.
shown us anything.
I'm saying this much. If you're going to beat Kansas City, you better be a tough physical team. That's the only way you're going to beat them. You're going to have to be extremely tough and extremely physical. Oh, by the way, who's the toughest, most physical team in the NFL right now?
Detroit?
Oh, lucky guess. Of course they are.
But they'd have to face them in the Super Bowl, which, like, Super Bowl, that's, like, completely different story with that extra week off, neutral site, the whole circus that comes with that.
Oh, we're ready. We got a circus in Detroit right now every Sunday at Ford Field. It's a mad circus.
All you're missing is the real lion on the sideline.
That's all we do, and I'd love to see one down. We haven't had one on the sideline in years. You're not allowed to do that anymore, right?
I think it depends on the state. Michigan probably says no to that.
Years ago, when I was a kid, a couple times they brought out a lion on a big
Which
game.
is fucking wild.
Oh, I loved it when I was a kid. I thought this is amazing, and then we never seen one again. I do believe that they brought out a Bengal one time in the Ken Anderson days in Cincinnati. I'm pretty sure. I'd like to fact check that. But one of those really cool-looking Bengals with the white whatever.
Yeah.
That kind of looking like it should be somewhere in India in the mountains, not on the side of a football field.
Oh, you think?
There you go. But ask Mike Tyson. They're easy to tame, aren't they?
I don't know. Some other people might disagree with that.
I'm going to tell you my experience. I've had a Bengal tiger on my lap, open its mouth in front of me. There's no word of a lie. I had a
Where was this?
I had a career one time where I had to pay child support, so I was working in a urban ballet establishment.
They had a tiger there.
Her name was Jane Jones, and part of her act was bringing a Bengal tiger onto the stage.
Like a baby one?
No, a full-blown motherfucker, man. He was in
shit.
you should see his place, his living quarters outside. It was like a tractor trailer where they put him in. So here's the funny part, people. I got paid extra money for this. Okay, so and I had to do it twice.
Do you have to, like, stick your head in the mouth?
No, what they do is they put something on you. Okay, like they gave me this little thing on my knees. So I didn't know why they rubbed my knees until afterward. Is when she gets him go around, he stops. And when he stops, he puts his paws on you and opens his mouth and sticks out his tongue and says hi. So I will never forget this as long as I live, because when that Bengal tiger opened its mouth, my head could fit in there, bro. And by the way, when he put his paws on my knees, where did my knees go? Nowhere. The paws, bro.
Massive. They're massive.
Unbelievable. It was like 350-pound tiger.
Holy smokes.
Twice it went around the room. She dances on his back. The tiger takes it around the back. She does her little thing, and then she gives it a few commands, and he walks across. He looks me in the eye, jumps up like this, puts his hands on my knees. They said, don't act nervous.
Oh, okay. Jesus Christ.
That's one of my craziest stories I've had a witness. I'm going to tell you this.
I'm glad you're still living.
I'm going to be honest with you. When I heard that this was the deal, I'm going to be honest with you. I slipped right out back, pulled my additives out of my pocket, burned one, and then I went back in because I thought, okay, this sounds cool. When I seen the thing, I went, oh my God, look at that thing. It's huge. But I did it twice. I got an extra $100 out of the deal. So,
I think you were underpaid.
At the time, probably. What was I carrying at the time? Like, can you imagine that, though? You're coming in. Cruz, come over for a second. Do you ever heard the Jane Jones show? I said, no. Oh, that's the Bengal tiger thing. Well, you're going to be part of the act tonight. Like, what am I going to do? Feed it something? No. This is what you're going to do. And I sat strategically on the stage. Because, you have, like, pig row and all that stuff, right? Well, I was just strategically put on a place just outside the DJ. She had her own music, so you just had to push the button. I didn't have to change the record. Everything went on. And all of a sudden, the tiger came over and looked me in the eye. And what I remember most is, like I said, when that thing opened its mouth, God, my head could fit in there. You know what I mean? I don't want to be Siegfried and Roy.
No. That's what I was thinking about. We had a not-so-positive experience with some big cats.
But they said he had a heart attack and the lion tried to save him. I don't know. Legend. Well, that's right. We're getting way off topic here, talking about Bengals and Lions, which are going to be two teams that I think are going to be around during the playoffs. I still think
Bengals,
the Bengals,
I'm not sure.
Well, let's look around. Once we do this every week, so let's just run around the AFC really quickly and see what we got. In the AFC East, the only team making the playoffs is Buffalo. Okay, if you go to the AFC South, the only team making the playoffs is Houston.
Colts have a chance.
Well, they better play a lot
Their
better.
game out.
And then,
Although I'm not so sure about them anymore. I picked them in the beginning of the year.
okay.
They got some issues.
The biggest issue is the Anthony Richardson tap out. They're going to make him sit for the rest of the season. So you're going to tell me that Joe Flacco's
they're lucky
gonna
to
do
have
it?
Joe Flacco, who's actually like still playing well. Like I called
He was
at the beginning of the
terrible
year.
last week.
He was
absolutely brutal. So you're going to say that he's going to be Joe Flacco from last year again, bouncing off the couch and throwing touchdowns? He still throws one of the best deep balls in football.
100%.
We'll get that there. But who's he got to throw to? One of his receivers is hurt. Pierce has been banged up. Their O-line has been great, but
Josh Downs has been pretty good.
He's been solid. The back thing is they got to run the ball more. They got a good O-line, and their defense is a little bit more than middle of the pack. But a lot of people say their defensive numbers would be better if they weren't on the field so much of the time.
Well, why aren't they using Jonathan Taylor more? I don't understand that.
I don't get it either, but they better start doing it soon. So anyway, let's get back to it. Indies is a possibility.
Bubble team, yeah.
A bubble team. Okay, let's go to the AFC East.
We did. Buffalo.
Okay, so AFC South, one team.
Yep. The North.
North.
So Pittsburgh, Baltimore, they're both probably going to make it.
I'm saying 3 teams will come out of there. Cincinnati will sneak in the back door.
I'm not so sure.
Okay,
and then the West, we have 3 teams in right now, although I'm starting to suspect the Broncos are going to fall out.
Chargers are going to make the playoffs. That was one of my picks.
Like it.
One of my preseason picks. Look out for the Chargers, who have a great defense, by the way.
Unreal.
You know what I mean? And Ebert's there. I'm expecting them to win this week. So if you look at it that way, Cincinnati still has a shot because the only teams we're talking about is the 4 division winners. And who we got after that? The Chargers and the Steelers or the Ravens. So that means we have one team left to get in the back door. Who's it going to be?
Yeah, it's Broncos, Colts, Bengals, Jets certainly have the best odds. I think the Dolphins are too far back.
Let's get to the New York Jets. Okay, we're done.
Well, see, it's all about these next 2 games going into their bye. If they win these 2, then they're still alive.
Aaron Rodgers should run for office or something. I've never seen a more polarizing guy in the last 2 years than I've seen of Aaron Rodgers. Now, full disclosure, I can't be a big Aaron Rodgers fan. He played for Green Bay. I hated the guy. Beat us, 15 times in a row or something stupid? But that's not the point. The guy's a very smart football player. Very smart football player. Sometimes I think he should keep his rhetoric and leave it in his back pocket because it just gives fodder for the national media.
Sure.
Oh, by the way, for the first time in Aaron Rodgers' career, he's been flexed out of a primetime game. First time.
Yeah.
How long has Aaron Rodgers been in the league? 20 years?
20 years. But as a starter, like 16?
Yeah, 17.
Yeah.
17 years as a starter. He's never been flexed out of a primetime game. First time in his career. What is that saying?
Well, people don't believe in the Jets.
I think that the Jets have just freaking shot themselves in the foot too many times.
Firing Saleh was a bad move.
I think it was a bad move now, too. You know, their defensive metrics have freaking fallen off the cliff since he's left.
Yeah, I know.
That's just so weird when you have the same lineup. You know what I mean?
Well, they came out and fought for that guy, so.
There you go.
But, yeah, moving to the NFC playoff picture. So, Lions are obviously not obviously. They have
3 teams from the North.
Vikings, Packers, like whoever's going to be second and third should be still in that wild card. Washington, Philly seems to be the battle for the East.
Philly will win the division. I'm calling it now. They got to play Washington twice. They got Dallas. What are they going to do to Dallas this week when they go into there? I think that they should tell the women and children to stay home.
Yeah, I was thinking along the similar lines.
They better tell the women and children to stay home. Jerry, why don't you go golfing that day? It could be pretty ugly in Fort Worth this weekend. No Dak. A defense that can't stop the run.
Cooper Rush is going to be quarterback for the Cowboys. That's never good.
I think they should have gone with Trey Lance. Let's see what you got.
I don't disagree with that.
I heard that he's getting all the practice reps now, but Cooper had gotten them before, so they got to start him. But let's see what Trey Lance...
But if Cooper Rush has a bad game, he's out of there.
You think he's going to throw for 300 yards against his Philadelphia defense, which has learned how to play?
No, but I don't think that's the bar.
I'm predicting that the Philadelphia Eagles will sack Cooper Rush 5 times. Oof. Heard it here first.
I just picked up Philly's defense, so that's
good move. Good move.
Yeah, someone dropped him, and I'm like, Buffalo's probably gonna have a good weekend too, but I think Philly's just gonna have a little bit.
You're gonna get the sacks and the negative yards and perhaps a couple turnovers.
Let's hope.
I did that against the Chargers a couple weeks ago. I picked up the Chargers defense against Cleveland. I didn't win the week. I lost by 10, but my highest scoring
Was the defense?
What's
And they have
the
Chargers defense in my other league. They're playing Tennessee, so hopefully.
that's big numbers for you, yeah.
And then AFC South or NFC South Atlanta. I don't think anyone else there is going to have a shot at the playoffs. And then NFC West, it looks like it's just going to be whoever wins that division is going to make the playoffs.
I agree. So do we miss a division?
That's it.
No, NFC East, yeah. Washington and Philly both could come out of there.
I think the wild cards are already set though.
7-2 Washington. That's a big fall down. Because the word around the campfire is you win 10 games. Look, 10 games seems to be
the magic number, yeah.
Seems to
so
be.
3 more wins. That's all they need.
And they're going to be there. Should be very interesting.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Are you ready for our picks against the spread?
Of course I am. And I had an outstanding week last week.
I wasn't so bad myself.
No.
You were 11 for 15. I was 10 for 15.
Yeah, it's a good week. How's that happens? Don't take our hockey picks. Maybe you should look
Take
at
my
our
hockey picks. Don't take Cruz's.
okay, take it. But the football thing changed dramatically. But you know what? Before we go on any farther, before we give our picks, I'm going to rant on this one more time. Penalties and missed calls are really wrecking the game.
I agree.
Not only that, we've got billions of dollars being bet on these games every weekend. Isn't there a red flag out there saying, is there something going on? Are we pulling the man behind the curtain? Why don't we use an assist replay more? Like, there's a number of things that have gone on in the last week that you just go, how does that happen?
Yeah,
Why
hopefully.
don't you call them? The Cincinnati game to start week 10 is the barometer of, I bet you they already talked in the league office and said, hey, we better check this out. Sam Darnold got his face ripped off on national TV, no call. You know what I mean? So I'm just hoping that, and it seems to be always working that way. Wait till we get to Christmas.
Yeah.
And watch how you see the games officiated. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. I don't know. If it won't me
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Yeah.
Or you could do the George Bush, fool me, won't get fooled again.
Yes, won't get fooled again. That's what I'm saying.
All
Exactly.
right. So Thursday, we were both on Cincinnati. They covered.
Yep.
So we will start off with,
Wait, you're going to put your picks in for the house that happens?
yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, whatever. So I'm gonna put it all on you. We have one a
no
week. So
pressure.
we're playing for free.
Yeah.
We already won a week. Did you get the hookup yet? I'll talk to Pick today and send it to you.
I thought we just got our money back, basically.
Oh yeah, but I'm saying if you want to see where the standings are and where we rank.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay, so we'll get that.
I trust
Okay,
Pick.
Let's get to that.
All right, so first up is just an atrocity of 2 teams that we're sending to Germany, or not we, but the NFL. In Munich, it's going to be the New York Giants versus the Carolina Panthers. New York Giants favored by 6.5 points. I've been going back and forth on this one.
Me too.
I think I'm going to go Panthers to cover.
Okay, I can't think the Panthers are going to cover. I'm going to tell you why. Bryce Young is the quarterback.
Yeah.
They just got rid of all their wide receivers. Who are they going to trade for? Who's he going to throw to? The Giants have a modicum of defense. They blew the game last week with that stupid play.
It's in Europe, though. Funky things are going to happen.
I'm taking the Giants and the points.
Okay. New England Patriots at the Chicago Bears. Bears favored by 6. But as I alluded to before, I think they're falling apart. Give me the Patriots.
Bears by 10.
Ooh, I hate you.
I like Derek May to play, but I'm saying this
Drake May.
But this defense of Chicago, they're good. They had a bad week last week, but if they show up, Drake May's in trouble. But Drake May's the real deal, by the way.
He's the real deal.
He's the real deal.
Him and Hunter Henry have some good chemistry, too.
They have great Henry. You know, I almost picked him up earlier in the year for my fantasy. I wish I did.
I picked him up in one of my leagues.
Yeah, he's at good numbers.
Buffalo Bills at the Indianapolis Colts. Bills favored by 4 points on the road. Give me the Bills.
I think they score a late touchdown to cover.
Indianapolis?
No, Bills.
Oh, okay.
Because Indianapolis got some defense. They got some dogs.
They make some weird decisions, though.
Run the ball more.
No, I don't
Buffalo's
see that
defense
happening.
is suspect at times,
Sure.
especially against the run. Let's see, but I'm taking the Bills.
Minnesota Vikings at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Vikings favored by 6.5 on the road. I'm going to take the Vikes.
I think that this is the ultimate trap game.
Yeah, you were talking about that at our meeting on
Yes,
Thursday.
ultimate trap game. The only reason I'm taking with Minnesota is because they're coming off.
Oh, you
a
are
bye.
taking Minnesota.
They're off a bye. I looked at the numbers. Remember the other night I said I was leaning towards the Jags? But I'm just thinking that pass rush might get to Trevor Lawrence. Minnesota win late. The bad thing about that is the backdoor cover.
Minnesota's not coming off a bye.
Aren't they?
They played prime time last Sunday against Indianapolis.
Oh, right. So they came off the bye last week, right?
They came off the bye their week that
after
they're playing
Detroit. Yeah, you're right. Okay, well, I'm still going to take the Vikings, even though I'm scared as hell. Scared as hell.
This is another game that I'm kind of scared of. Denver at Kansas City. Kansas City is laying 7.5 at home. I don't love this spread, but I'm going to take the Chiefs.
Okay, I'm going to look at it this way. You got to be the Chiefs. The Denver defense is solid, but guess what? Kansas City
Division game. This feels like a little bit of a trap, though.
Okay,
don't you think?
and they hate each other.
Yeah.
Profusely. So I'm
NFC West or AFC West, some old school rivalries.
Oh,
there.
huge! But I'm still going to go with the Chiefs because I think that their offense is getting ready to be exploding. They got an exploding game. Why would you want to do
fair
it
enough.
at home at Arrowhead against Denver?
Denver's defense is starting to fall off a little bit.
Yeah, and they're going to come out there and they're going to say, "Can you see our new shiny toy? His name is D-Hop." I think they win by 10.
Okay. Atlanta Falcons at the New Orleans Saints. I don't know how the Falcons are only favored by 3.5. I think that's a steal. Give me Atlanta.
Every game they've played, I think in the last 10, there's only been one time when the score has been more than 6 points. I think it's something like that. But then again, look, they just got rid of Lattimore.
I think it's going to be an ugly game for the Saints. New coach.
And what goes on? Are they going to play for the interim guy? We see how that works. No, I'm going with all day.
San Francisco at Tampa Bay in the Christian McCaffrey return match. 49ers favored by 7 points on the road. I'm going to take the Niners.
I'm taking the Bucks all day.
Wow.
Even though they played on Monday night, I'm taking the Bucks to cover. Not to win,
Fair
but
enough.
to cover.
Pittsburgh Steelers at the Washington Commanders. Another game that I've been going back and forth on all week. Commanders favored by 2.5 at home. I'm going to take Washington.
I'm taking the Steelers in their defense. And Russell Wilson is cooking. I'd say exactly. He's got the burners
his
on.
first game was good against the Giants. Was a little
okay. So I'm going to say that he's going to have the burners on.
Okay.
I'll take them.
Tennessee Titans at the LA Chargers. Chargers favored by 7.5 at home. I think they could win this one by 2 touchdowns.
Thank you very much. On the Chargers all day.
Yeah, both of us on the Chargers. New York Jets at the Arizona Cardinals. This is a game where the favorite actually flipped. Arizona was originally favored, but now the Jets favored by 1.5. I'm going to take the Jets.
Really? It spread that much? I'm taking the Jets, too. Even that spreads. It's a pick'em game, basically.
Well, 1.5, yeah.
Yeah, it's a pick'em game.
Any spread under 3, you're basically picking the winner.
Exactly.
Right? Philly at Dallas. Philly favored by 7
We
on the road.
already know where we're going here.
Yeah, we're both on Philly. Easy pick. Should be more of that spread, honestly. I think it's just because it's a Dallas home game that they're not getting it that much. But
if Philadelphia gets them down, they're going to kick them. This is a division game. They're going to kick Dallas so hard.
I talked about those old school rivalries in the AFC West. These are even older school rivalries.
You got it.
Yeah.
So this could be a beating.
I wouldn't be shocked. Detroit at Houston. Detroit's favored by 3.5 on the road. Give me the Lions.
This is the toughest pick of the week, by the way.
Houston's looked a little suspect, especially their offensive line lately.
Okay. That's why Detroit's got an advantage.
They're still missing Nico Collins.
Yes, they are. I think he's
inching towards a return, but I don't think he's going to be ready to go on Saturday or Sunday.
My question about this is that the front seven on the Houston defense is one of the best front sevens in the league. What worries me is that Goff doesn't always move that well.
That's true.
So that's what worries me. I think our running game will hold on to it, but we have to be very careful because Stroud hasn't having the season that he had last year.
No,
but he's still throwing a good deep ball.
He is, but I think the Lions front seven is going to be all over him, though.
That's what I'm hoping because their O-line is suspect. I'm taking the Lions. Why not? Who else would I take? You know, the Leafs. Come on. Detroit Lions, baby. You know what we're talking about here? The best team of football.
The boys in light blue.
Honolulu Blue. I'm gonna get like your Alexandra is a graphic designer. I know other people in the paint business, and I'm gonna bring them to our show to define the color blue once and for all. Okay. We don't do light blue.
That's funny because you do, but your speaker's light blue.
But that's not the Lions color.
Oh my God.
That's like the Miami blue color.
Yeah, that's closer to Miami.
Yeah,
I agree.
So I'll say that's light blue, but not the Lions. We're Honolulu Blue. Get it straight.
Which is a form of light blue.
Please.
And the last game of the week, I should mention before, Detroit. That's the Sunday nighter.
Yep.
Got
flexed in.
Yes, it did.
Got flexed in.
Good one to flex in.
Yep.
And last but not least, the Monday nighter, Miami Dolphins at the LA Rams. Rams favored by a single point at home. I'm going to take the Rams.
I got to take the Rams, but I think that's going to be a fun game to watch because Tua's been throwing the ball better, and Stafford and the boys are going to throw the ball all over the field. Do you know that if the LA Rams win the division, that Matthew Stafford will have to be looked at as an MVP candidate?
I think so.
Oh,
he's a little bit of a long shot, I'd say.
Oh, he's a long shot now. But if they win the division, especially after that start they had, okay? But I'm going to be this on record.
I mean, they got to worry about San Fran too. But
agreed. Kevin Pick. Let's talk about Stafford for a second, buddy. First of all, I traded him to you, and it broke my heart. Do you know that Kevin Pick's favorite pastime coming to my house for years was dragging Stafford's dick in the dirt?
Oh, yeah. So you've talked about this on the show.
I'm going to let the public know, Kevin Pick, what are you doing now? He's on your fantasy team, and he's going to get you into first place. You better say something nice about Matt Stafford, and I hope you hear this show. Oh, no, probably won't hear it today, but we'll be talking in the next couple of days. We're all getting together tonight. So, Pick. Stafford's going to the Hall of Fame.
All right. And on that note, let's get to trivia. All right, so provided by Steven. Thank you.
Again?
This past week, Jamie Benn went 16 for 16 in the face-off dot against the Chicago Blackhawks. Very impressive.
What?
Yeah. I did not know that. Thank you, Steven. How many other players have had a perfect face-off game when winning 16 or more draws? Bonus points if you can name them.
How many have done it?
Yeah.
Okay, let me think about this for a minute. In the history of hockey, right?
I'm gonna guess history of the NHL since they've started taking these stats. So you gotta start off with who are the big face-off gurus? I'm gonna bet that Yannick Perreault probably did it a couple times.
Oh, I say too. And the guy we mentioned previously, Pavel Datsyuk. He was a face-off guy.
I would say Brind'Amour maybe.
Oh, Brind'Amour,
Yeah.
another good guy. Messier, when he went to center, became a pretty good guy at getting on the puck. There was somebody on Montreal. I do believe it was Jacques Lemaire.
Wasn't Lemaire a winger?
No, he was a center.
Was he? Okay.
So I'm going to go with Jacques Lemaire. And there was somebody on Boston. I believe it could have been a Freddie Stanfield or Rick Middleton played the wing. Who played center for him? John Rattel. I will put him in the conversation. Who are the newer guys that would be around here? Is Crosby considered?
Oh, Jonathan Taves maybe.
Oh, Taves, yes. That's another guy. Is Crosby in on that conversation?
He got better at face-offs in the second half of
Who's
his
the
career,
guy that
I'd say.
plays-
But I don't think he's ever gone perfect.
Who's the guy that plays center for Ovechkin all these years?
Backstrom?
Backstrom. I think he's going to be in. Paul Correa.
No, he was a winger.
So who is the
Left wing.
center?
Steve Ruchin.
I'll put Adam Oates in there.
Okay.
Adam Oates is another guy in there. But I believe there's going to be a Montreal Canadian on the list.
Okay, so how much? I would say 6. I'm going to say 6.
4.
4? The answer is 5. Oh my God. I feel like this happens every time where we split it between the two of us.
I was
going to
say 5, but I said, no, I'm going to drop one more because that means I'm chasing you up the ass. So I took the 4. I was going to say 5.
So for the bonus, do you have any other names to add?
No.
Okay. So they are. Wow, we were way off on the guys. There's one, Patrice Bergeron.
Oh.
I can't believe we missed that.
I was thinking about Boston, too, because I kept trying to think of the Boston guys. That's what I was saying. Who was on the center?
I feel like such a doofus for missing that.
We should have known Bergeron. The other guys I probably won't know. Somebody on Calgary?
Curtis Brown, David Statchard. I don't know who those guys are. And then 2 recent ones that I'm pretty surprised about. Colton Sissons and Bo Horvat.
Horvat?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Good
trivia question, by the way.
Excellent trivia question, Stephen. Thank you very much for that.
Yes, we appreciate that immensely.
Anything else you want to shout out before we take
Oh,
off
yes,
here?
I got one more. I did not get the gospel together because we let the show a little long to catch up for all the other things we didn't last in a couple of weeks. But I'm going to have a big shout out right now. We have a mini banquet going on tonight for the San Francisco Sluggers.
San Francesco
Sluggers. Oh, by the way, I can't wait to hear some of the dialogue that's going to come out of these guys that think that they're all frickin' Ken Griffey Jr., Ozzie Smith, and frickin' Jack Morris. So I'm going to say this right now. I will play outfield next year for the San Francisco Sluggers. I will play outfield.
Whoa, where's this coming from?
Well, we've got Kevin Pick coming to join the team.
Oh, shout out Kevin Pick.
And he might push me out of my position.
Kevin, you once we get started recording at Cruz's Chaos next week, you gotta come back on the show. I think.
Oh yeah, he is. He's going to be coming in for a football show very soon. In any event, I am deciding to go to play outfield because I don't have the greatest of arms anymore. And the joke around the team is, where's that? Hey, old man's only got a pop gun, and people say, nah, it's not even that good. Don't make fun.
Were
of
they
pop
gonna put
guns.
you at the Rover?
No, you said, oh my God. Sluggers, I'm not going to say anything about that now. He just said that this cardinal sin. He has no idea about what's going on in the Rover on San Francisco Sluggers, and he just called me as a Rover pick. What do you think I'm saying? What do you think I'm saying?
So,
You're not at the inside joke on this.
No, I'm not.
Andrew just ruined my day. He brought up the Rover.
I know you've talked shit about the Rover before.
And now you're going to
do you
say
guys
I'm
only
with the Rover?
hold on. Do you guys only run 3 outfielders then?
4.
Oh, okay, so you just spread them out.
Yeah, but then sometimes if you're
Isn't
playing
that the same
in
deal
the
then?
women's league, you put a person there because you know the girl can only hit that far. And I'm saying when you got a Rover there, you burn them. We're men. We're men.
Okay,
Play
fair
back
enough.
out there. Listen, I love my accomplice, and he just put Cruz and Rover in the same sentence.
Okay,
the only
whatever.
Rover we should be talking about is a song by Led Zeppelin. That's all I got to say.
Red
But anyways, I hope you guys hear this because when you do, they're going to be laughing their asses off. I hope someone hears it because I'm going to get the texts. Hey, Cruz, you Rover? It's coming. But anyways, we're going to have a really, really good time tonight. I know Danny, Steve, and Moko are going to put on a show for us. I'm really looking forward to it, especially us seniors, John Pillardi and Pedro. We're going to show up again and show these young kids we were one of the reasons that we made it to the finals. And Cruz can be one of the best outfielders on this team because I got to show my son how to run because he's got his mother's speed.
Oh my God.
In any event, that's an interesting way to close the show, don't you think so?
I would say so.
There you go.
Go Argos, go Leafs, go Raptors.
Yes,
Cheering for you.
all of the above. Big shout
Leafs
out.
or Blue Jays don't fuck up the offseason.
Graydon Dick, you're playing just as good as I thought you were going to play. Thank you very much. You look good in the Razor commercials. How'd you get Tracy in there? I don't know.
Well, they couldn't get them in the same room, but
That's okay. In any event, I really enjoyed the show today. I hope
they got
you
that
people
Gillette
do.
money. Of course they got him there.
Of course. You know, Robert Kraft's money. That's what that is. In any event, I really enjoyed the show today. I hope you get in there.
Well, he doesn't own Gillette, though.
What?
He doesn't own Gillette.
Why do you think it's called Gillette Stadium?
He owns P&G.
He's big. That's where his money
Are you
came
sure?
from. Check
Okay.
it out. Really there.
I don't think anymore, but
Okay, so I'm going to have one more request. And this is going to be definitely laid at the hands of my accomplice, Andrew Milani. But I'm looking forward to our promotion that's voiced by the one and only Radica.
oh, we will get working on that.
Please do. She's going to stun the audience with that velvety, sweet voice.
I'll have to play this for her.
You better. And I mean that. I mean that. I don't say shit unless I mean it. And I would love to hear her do a promo for us. It'd be really cool.
We'll cook something up.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to say?
That's just about it.
Really enjoyed your company again. It's been a great show. Hi, my name is Cruz.
And I'm Andrew Milani.
What do we do?
We keep the vibe alive. You can find The House That Happens on Podbean, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeart Radio, Player FM, Samsung, Podchaser, Boomplay, YouTube, and SoundCloud. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at The House That Happens, and follow us on Twitter at House Happens. You can also shoot us an email at thehousethathappens@gmail.com.